and with a mic. I'm not sure if the dual screen just stole my application bar, but I'm having a bit of a problem getting things to run. Give me a minute, please. What's that? Joshua Wilson, just all one word, is my GitHub user ID, so you should be able to search on that.
Get a little hum from there.
And once you've gotten to that one, you can find. Yeah. You want me to put the sunglasses on? That help?
I can't recognize you. You'll fit with the decor then.
So the specific repo is going to be JBoss WFK Quickstarts, and then the branch. Give me a second.
Let's go ahead and clone it.
Yeah.
Branch 26.x.
We're gonna need some focus if you guys are gonna be able to read that. Is that?
Probably also got a zoom font resolution. What resolution are you streaming in at?
I'm gonna have to check. But
Do we need JBoss?
if you want to test it and the repos. Mostly I'm going to be doing a demo this morning and we'll be hacking on it this afternoon. And so I'll leave it to the organizers to decide how much time we spend in them before we get started getting environment set up or just doing the demonstration. You can use if you have a login to the jboss.org site, you should be able to download EAP, which is what we're using. The latest 6.2. Yeah, 6.2 GA is fine. And get that up and running. I am rebooting because I lost several things. All right. And we got to get this thing focused. So once I get something back up and going.
And try dropping your resolution first.
Oh yeah.
Small, isn't it?
All right. Once I get it up and running, I can do that. So there's a branch near the bottom. If you found the repo, new contacts, mobile something. Yeah.
New contacts?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's near the bottom.
Yep.
And that's what we'll be going over.
Contacts, mobile base?
For the Quickstart or the branch? The branch starts with the word new.
Okay. Yeah, it's one below contacts.
Yeah.
JBoss-WFK-Quickstart?
Yep, that's the repo, and then you got to change the branch. I'm not talking about the Quickstart itself, but the branch.
Right. The branch should be new contact mobile secure misspelled.
Yeah. Yeah. English is only my first language.
I know, I would say so. Can't spell it.
Not an English major, come on. got a spell check. As long as I misspell it everywhere the same way, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's the key.
Joshua, you might have to go. Oh, you haven't even.
I'm working on it.
What I did is.
Just give me a moment, please.
Yeah, good. All right. So I got to his site, I forked this, and then on my side, I just cloned it to my desktop from my fork. Yes. So it should be that. Yeah, those are oh, cool. Yeah, that was all, and that one.
All right, so, wow, what is going on? It's like, oh, there we go. Just had to refresh it.
Focus yet?
I just changed the resolution. Now you can work on the focus.
Right, okay. Maybe I'll ask the
So,
guy while I know that's in this chapter.
can you guys see that from back there? Or do I need to make it, well, but is this, yeah, is it big enough?
It's big enough.
We'll work on the focus in a minute.
Thanks for bearing with us, everybody. No problem. An hour, not enough time. So.
No, it's usually sharper. I mean, here, I'll show you.
It's gonna be a fun day. We're gonna like code a whole bunch. We're gonna show you first what we'll be coding, and then you can kind of use your imagination. So I'll be able to watch them kind of work together. JBoss engineers
Yeah, just got
are
big
coming
text
in
on
from
it.
like a week of meetings,
The only thing with small text.
and like unbelievably enough, don't seem to be sick of each other. Even though we've like spent quite a bit of time together. Yeah.
I'll check what our feed looks like. It might be the fact that we've got all these
You know, like
connections
pizzeria
in work.
Regina?
Otherwise, it's...
Best pizza in Boston, I'm certain. And I think maybe we'll do a little cannoli war too. I'm not certain if you guys are familiar with modern and Mike's.
I used to live in North.
It's modern.
You don't want to go to Mike's.
So I shouldn't even get to let people try for no war, just go to modern.
No.
Even now that modern has like expanded.
It is expanded, but they still feel it there.
Right.
If you go inside and take this.
Okay, so you think I should not do a war, you just modern.
You know, I would get soggy.
No, they fill in for me at Mike's. I go in, they have the shells, I'm like, can we fill in, you know?
Still up to tell, it's not really...
Where do you live in North End?
It's not large enough for us to tell.
Right.
Oh, so you mean this, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, really? I used to valet for going. It's fun.
That was like, we lived there 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, I think that's better actually.
We also have a bunch of sodas over there if anybody needs extra caffeine. And for the rest of the engineers that are Mountain Dew drinkers, so I guess that's actually almost clear. How's that resolution in on the screen. Can you guys see the screen okay? Oh, just realized.
We'll line you in over here.
Are we gonna be able to get some power strips at some power strips and people will at some point?
Yeah, yeah. So the batteries
These
all
will
start
last
to
for
run
a
out.
while.
Yeah, yeah. The developers on the Macs may be okay, I guess.
Yeah, it runs for a while.
Thank you. Anything else?
I think we could be, we'll do one final check of the stuff and we could be good to go. Joshua, what do you say?
Just a minute.
Yeah.
Were you guys able to get access to the repo?
Yes.
Okay.
Turn off the other freaking one, it seems like. Yeah. What happened to our lights? Yeah. Got it. Sweet.
Which one would you like something? Yeah.
Not enough here? Well, these lights.
Oh, these lights. Yeah. Oh. And are you gonna do? Do you want this back on?
Yeah?
Oh, that's.
Oh, yeah.
Possible to put the lights back on again?
Oh, I see. All right, we'll do that.
Pointing maybe to
We've got our own
When I set it up, I don't. I mean, I go into. No, I don't.
Okay. Well,
You don't have to.
No.
so,
The way I end up running.
I think we kind of.
I'll show you in a minute. Actually, I'm starting. I don't know if you can see what I got going on the screen now, but I'm actually getting ready to start EAP.
Okay.
Um,
You just do a base install, you don't have to.
No, yeah. So if you guys want to follow along with what I'm doing for the startup, what's that?
Can you drop the transparency on your
Yeah. Give me a second.
We're not recording yet, so.
Yeah, and I'm.
But you don't start anything. That's,
Where
you
is?
have to repeat.
Oh, that's what I was asking for. It's just asking for local.
Okay, so that's the wrong way. Anybody else feel like they're getting questioned for interrogation? I don't think I can see anybody, so if you raise your hands, I'm not going to know. That's good. I'll just keep talking then. All right. It's kind of washed out, but it's as black as it gets.
Can you up the font size on your?
Let's go back in and try. What if I change?
I think you need black and white to give you the biggest contrast.
Yeah. What if I switch them though? see where?
Oh, font, yes. So don't tick the system fixed
Oh, yeah, yeah.
option.
And I can change it.
Yeah.
Look like 14.
Ooh, no, that's gonna be a bit too much. Try, and yeah, 14 or 15 or something.
How about that? We'll
Yeah, I think that'll work.
make it so you guys can read it.
Yeah.
16.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Is that better, you guys?
Yeah.
Is this light flashing off the projector for you?
A little bit.
We'll just try to turn it off.
Yeah, oh, it's that one that's doing it. Yeah, I gotta remember not to look at them.
You all say, is this too much in the way now? Yeah.
So you're gonna step up into the screen.
Yeah, I'll do it.
The live, so yeah. That's it, man.
Josh, talk for a second.
Well, right now what I'm trying to do is configure EAP to run so we can provide the demo first, which isn't something I really need to have in the demo, but since you guys are here, you're more than welcome to watch. I had it set up, but then it I had to restart my system. So what I'm running now is the JBoss command line tool. And with this, I can deploy or undeploy everything or individual ones. Okay, so now that's undeployed.
You guys have noticed these, by the way.
Come on.
So I'm just gonna put, so I'll just click on this one.
I'll stop that. And we'll run it again. That'll be a clean run.
Yeah, we can't just put on, so
Nothing in there.
where's my
Now the way that I run this on the command line, I'm going to go into my GitHub. Contacts. So the actual Quickstart that we're working on is the Contacts Mobile Picket Link secured. I go there and Maven clean package JBoss-AS :deploy. We'll send it to the running JBoss.
You ready, Josh?
Sure. You want to start doing your thing, or you want me to get out of the way?
Yeah, well, whenever, whenever you're ready, we'll.
Okay.
Yeah, seems to be. To go from my queue, that's all.
Yeah.
That's fine, yeah.
Is it okay to have that up?
Yep.
All right, I'll get out of the way.
So you're going to start off first, and then we'll go Seti and Eric.
Yeah.
And then you, and then Shane. Yeah, and then you and Shane, right. Cool. And go over. Oh, great. Okay. This is all very official. Jesus.
Okay, wait, I'll do it. Wait.
Yeah. No, it's kind of a signature thing.
Can I put one on my eyes?
You can do whatever you want. Hello, everybody, and welcome to JUDCon Boston. Today we're doing a little bit of a different type of event, and it's actually going to be pretty exciting. We're going to be spending the day coding and learning how to build an enterprise application for mobile from scratch all the way into something that supports push notifications and security. We're going to spend the full day together up until about 3 o'clock. We'll have a lunch break after the sessions in the morning, and the sessions will explain and be an expository type of a thing for everything that we'll cover later on. So It's a day full of code. I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Joshua Wilson, to kick us off. Joshua.
Thank you, everyone. It's great to be here. And today, well, first let me introduce myself. As Andrew said, Joshua Wilson. I'm an engineer on JBoss middleware, working for Red Hat. All right, today we're going to be looking, well, do you guys want to see slides? No, I didn't think so. We're going to be looking at only code. So we're going to work through the code. I'm going to give you guys a demo of it first. Before we get started, for anybody that wants to actually look at the code, you can find it on my GitHub repo. That's Joshua Wilson. Let me pull that up. Now I can't see it. There we go. All right. So you can see Joshua Wilson is my GitHub name. And move this over a little bit, and you can see the actual repo. JBoss-WFK-Quickstarts, and then the actual branch is new contacts, mobile, secured, missing the E. All right. That is where we're looking at. Before we get started, I'll just say that if you guys have questions, let me know. Please ask. We're going to move kind of fast to get through this, and in the hackathon in the afternoon, we will be around. So if you have more detailed questions, you can ask those at that point. All right. Now let's see if we can run it. The idea behind this example or quick start is to demonstrate jQuery mobile on or the CRUD, or create, retrieve, update, and delete using jQuery mobile. Now obviously you're not looking at your phone here. It will run in a browser, so we're going to work through with this. We have secured it with PicketLink. We'll get into PicketLink later this morning. But for now, with this particular one, I can use admin, if I can spell, admin, and admin will get me in. All this information is in the README over here. If I scroll down, you can see a full-out explanation of everything that we're going to be working on over here in the README, and what you're going to need to do to set it up and to run it as I go down. All right, so back to the demo itself. Run through this quick. If you don't have, this allows you to do an actual sign in or sign up to demonstrate how to create new users. At this point, I just want to get us into this so I can show you what we're doing with it. The concept here is that an organization, a company, would have people that they're tracking, companies, contacts, sales contacts, I guess would be the best term for it. And so then they would load this in, and anybody in the company that has access to the site can get to it. So that's the basic use case that we're dealing with. So Davy Jones here, you can click on him and you can edit him. And if we do funny things like add numbers, we have validation in place. But I can change it. And if I save, it'll update it. I can clear, and it clears the page, or I can cancel it. From here, I can also delete this character. I'm going to cancel out of that. And there's a menu option here. From there, I can view a detailed list. Can also get back to the list here, and details are there as well. Role assignment will allow me to change the role from maintainer to just viewer, user. So for John, he's a user, or you can assign somebody as admin. And OK. And I can log out, but I can also add a contact. So let's add a contact so we can see how that works, and then we can get into the code to see what's making all of this function. John Smith, and then put some phone number in here, email address. Now if I just type anything in there, it says, well, that's not an email address, you can't do that. So get some validation. Well, that's mean, John Smith. And if we use that address, that works. And then we'll go in and pick a date. Let's see. Pick that date. If I save it, it says, oh, wait. So we have a little server-side validation going on here. So I have to go in and change the, and it added a second John Smith. And then we don't want that guy, so we're going to delete him. That's pretty much how the whole app works. As needed, we can come back to the app and review that. Any questions before I dig into the code? Okay. Now I know the format here is a little small. Let's see if I can start with the HTML and widen that out a little bit. Everybody see the screen okay? All right. jQuery Mobile really starts in the HTML, and this is a single page web application. It is possible to make it multi-page, but for the most part, when you're building one of these, you do it as a single page. And to start with, you're going to need to include the style sheet, you can see there, and jQuery we need, and I've got a few CSS of my own. The question is, can I increase the size of the font other than changing my resolution?
No, just increase your font. Go in preferences.
I'm going to change the font.
Search for font with the type. Type font.
In the project settings, not in the properties right next to HTML.
Oh. That would be under Window, Preferences.
Here, search for font.
All right.
Under basic. Any other, oh no, you had it, colors and fonts. And basic is the top one. And if you pull that down, you scroll down a bit and get to text font. You can hit edit, edit button on the top. And bump that up to 14 maybe. Thanks.
Let's see how this font works for you guys. Okay, that's great. Now everybody in the back of the room should see it. All right. There's a series of JavaScript files that we're importing as well. And then the validator, which I'll explain a little later. And at the very last one we import is the jQuery Mobile. Now we want that to go in last. Whereas we put jQuery in early, we put this one in last because as soon as it comes into play, as soon as this script runs, it affects it. And so if you have it up front, the page isn't going to render properly. So you have to put this one down at the bottom. And the comments in here explain that. All right. Get down into the body, and essentially what we've got here is a series of divs that break out into individual pages, and jQuery Mobile uses AJAX transitions to jump between the pages. And so you set up links or buttons that'll jump you between the pages, and so you feel like you're going to a whole new page, but it's just further down in this HTML document. And so we have here the contacts list page. The first page that's listed in order is going to be your main page. And so if you have, let me show you back here. in the URL, I don't have anything after this, but if I switch over to details, you can see that it's changed to the hash contacts detail list page. And so that's actually a link within that document, the HTML document, and that's how it changes pages. I'm not going to dig into all the detail due to time. If there is something you guys see, ask me. I'm going to kind of skim through what we've got here so we can get into even more detail later. So we've got this is the pull-out panel. Every page that wants to have the pull-out panel has to have the pull-out panel on it. And so you'll see this duplicated. We've got a header role, and that provides the bar at the top. Main is where the actual form is that has the list. And then we have the footer. And then I've added some theming to it, which we didn't get into, but that's in there as well. And so we repeat this. And so now we have the details, and we just keep going. It's going to have a header, and you have the main, and the footer again. That's really what you need to understand as you build out a jQuery mobile site. One of the things that's really nice about JBDS or JBoss Developer Studio, I'm going to get this out of the expanded mode. It's kind of small on the side over here, but you have the ability to drag in a dialog, and it would just drop it in. And it's a wizard. It's going to walk you through how to set it up, and so you don't have to know how to do jQuery all by yourself. The wizard and the tooling is going to do a lot of it for you. I'm going to cancel that, and you can play with that later. There's a whole list of tools in there to play with. As I scroll through, you can see all kinds of cool stuff to play with. All right. So here's the add page. And let me make this a little larger. Anybody know how to make this thing full size and get rid of all the stuff surrounding it? I know if it was a browser, I'd hit F1 and make it bigger, but nope. Okay. Just hoping to see a little more. All right. So we've got the panel, like I told you, and it lists out the links, which in a list view show up as buttons. Just as a side note there. Under the main, we've actually got the form. It's just a standard form, but then we've got the labels and the inputs for this, and I'll give it a class and a button on the end to clear it, placeholder for it. As we go down a little bit, you can see there's a little bit of validation here, the minimum for the year, and different things like that. You can set the type to be email and telephone, just some basic HTML5 form stuff. All right. If you guys have questions on the form and the HTML, we can get into that more later. I don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time. All right. I'm going to switch over to the app.js and go up to the top. One of the things that I did to make it easier to work with is that I set up modules. Now you can use something like require.js, but I wanted to keep it simple, and I wanted to keep as many libraries out of this to keep it as straightforward and basic as possible. And so what I did is I created modules, and you can see the code in there. So the namespaces is what sets that up. I'm not going to really dig into this, but that's how we set it up. So it's there for you to look at later. And so that brings in information from the other JavaScript libraries. Now the biggest difference you're going to notice when if you guys have ever used jQuery, jQuery mobile doesn't start the same way. Here we're doing onDocument on page create, and that's how you start, or once the page has been completely created, this gets fired versus what happens with how you set up jQuery. All right. when the main page gets started, or comes up, before it shows, we're going to run these. And the contacts app is the one that we're in now, and so that's going to be what we're going to be running. And we've got some security and got the classes set up to, or we're hiding specific classes based on whether you're admin or not. The get contacts, which is really the thing I wanted to show you guys. Once you've gained access through the security system, it actually populates that list, and you saw several contacts pop up. And so this is the AJAX that calls that, and we'll look at the Java code later on what this is doing. It's a jQuery AJAX reference. So we're going to pull that in, and it is going to send it to the build contact list, which is the next one we have, and then it takes and pulls out all the information and pushes it into the form. Like I said, I'm really speeding through this so that we can cover a lot of different things for you guys, and we'll be able to get into more of it later as you have questions. Question?
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
That's about all I need. So I'm trying to hurry. I could spend all day talking to you guys, but we've got more to talk about than just me. All right. The forms also, for the edit, set up a different page so that we can control the forms. There's a page on security and what we're doing for the checks to get you logged in and set that up. When you do an edit, that's under the submissions library. Let's scroll down. So here's the create, and we go through, and there's a lot of error handling in here as well. One of the things that we tried to do is comment every line. If you don't know how to use JavaScript, you should be able to read this Quickstart and learn JavaScript. So everything's commented in here so you can understand what it is. Right. The other thing that I wanted to show you, to have that open, validator, the validation. This is another the only other library that I added so that we could have client-side validation. We're going to have server-side validation for the security's sake, but for convenience and ease of use for the user, we set up the client-side using the jQuery validation plugin. There's some unique or specific to this example validation set up at the top, but then you come down and you set up the form, and so the first name has a required or true, and it's a person, the person name, and a max length. And down here under email, you can see that the type is going to be email, so that is going to control that it has to have the @ sign and the formatting, and then we have the unique email test in there. And so that's how this is working. Granted, I know that I'm speeding over a lot of this, but we'll be around later for more questions. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Sebi and Eric. I'll unplug my machine, and they'll come get set up. Thank you, guys.
Stay with us before we get going. Get yourself set up.
Ja. Ik van hier.
Oh, dat is nog mooier.
Nee.
Heb je het ook?
Nee.
Nee?
Nee. Ligt er ook hierin ook?
Ah, oké.
Andersom?
Andersom. Zijn mevrouw van de hand.
Dat spreek ik toch wel. Gaat wel lekker goed dit. Kijken of het... je ziet geen zweet. Is dat oké?
Ja, kijk maar de slice die wordt uitzien.
Oh, beginnen bij het eind. Ja?
We're all set.
Ja, dat ziet er goed uit hoor. Ja. Ja. Cool. Moet ik hier staan?
Ik weet het.
Ja. Ready, Andy?
Anytime, guys.
Good.
Ja,
Yeah?
let's go.
Let's go.
Hang on one second.
Okay, let's not go.
Let's not go.
There's two of you.
Yeah, there's
yeah.
two of us, yeah?
He's really tall.
That will be me.
Why don't you stand where you're going to stand?
I'll stand here.
Well, I stand here.
Someone's going to drive, right? Someone's going to be in front of the computer.
Yeah, we are going to switch, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so do we have to like stand really for the computer?
No, that's fine. Just Eric, don't grow anymore.
Don't grow anymore, no.
Okay.
Good.
1 second, 3, 2.
Mission.
Hello and welcome. Let us introduce ourselves quickly. I'm Eric. I work for AeroGear. It's a mobile project. And today we're going to tell you how to use what we saw previously and apply it to more mobile context.
Exactly. And I'm Sebastian Blanc. I also work for Reddit, same team as Eric. And I will show you some tooling around Cordova and how to use push notifications in your app.
So first of all, we already said Cordova, and we need to explain exactly what that is. What we saw before was a mobile application, and it looked nice and it looked kind of mobile, but it's still in a mobile browser. And most of the time, you want to have an application that's really an app on your device and in the App Store, and maybe even uses native features of your device. So that's where Cordova comes in. Here you see a little diagram of what Cordova actually is. Your app is still HTML and JavaScript, that's it. And then this app is a native wrapper around it that has a browser basically. And it will show your application in a browser, and it will just be like a normal app. You can touch it and it will fire up your index HTML. And then you can put it in everywhere, because that's the power of Cordova. It's cross-platform. So it could work on iOS, it can work on Android, it can work on BlackBerry, Firefox. There's lots of possibilities here. And I said it already, you maybe want to use native features. And that's also supported. So they have a little way to get native features working by using plugins. So you have a JavaScript API for using native features. So there's a camera API, there's a media API, there's even a Facebook plugin, I don't know, never used that. But then it will call native application in your JavaScript. You just have an API, you can get a camera, a picture, it will call a native feature, get the camera, get the picture, and you can handle it in your application. It will just be JavaScript. But the native features are the plugins. Right. And most people think, yeah, Cordova, it looks nice, but is this really something that people are using? And this is just a couple of numbers we got from the mailing list the other day. There's 20% of the top 100 in every category in iTunes is a Cordova app. That's a very strong. I mean, it has really a nice market. Because it's cross-platform, you only have to develop your application once. You don't need an extra team for each device you want to support. It really has a market there. And in productivity category, it's even higher. It's 40% of the apps are Cordova apps. And yeah, there's a lot of people playing with this, and there's lots of downloads as well. To give you an example of, maybe you've heard of these apps, I'm a beer drinker myself, so there's this Untapped app, which is really great. It doesn't even try to mimic a native UI. It really has its own kind of brand. And also, I think that works best in most cases, where you just have an app that looks the same on all devices. And yeah, they're a Cordova app. I didn't even know this before I found out that it was, and I said, hey, that's cool. It's a Cordova app. And also the BBC has had a nice example app for the Olympics, where you could read news and stuff. And it's just a little bit more than just having a good mobile site. It's a little bit, you can market it, and you can push things, and you can integrate it with native hardware. So enough, huh? And yeah, if you're like me and you've been scarred by Internet Explorer, there's lots of frameworks that will help you build a nice mobile app. You don't need to know JavaScript really in depth. There's Twitter Bootstrap, which is a nice UI maybe you can use, or Topcode is a nice CSS frameworks. There's Ionic, which is bigger than just a CSS framework. It has CSS, but it also has it also combines with Angular. If you heard of this, it's a great, especially for if you have come from a Java EE world. It has the same paradigms. It has controllers and services, and it's really nice to get to play with that. You can easily understand these things because you're already familiar with the concepts. So if you don't know this, you should really check this out, especially Ionic or Angular. Or jQuery, as we saw before. It's also a nice, and it is also good supported in our tooling, so that's also a nice one. And if you say, I'm scarred, like me, I've been scarred by IE6, I'll never do JavaScript anymore. There are alternatives as well. You can also just do something that compiles down to JavaScript. I know there's a lot of people making fun of JavaScript. I think it's a great language, and you can really build serious applications with it. But if you say, hey, I just want, it doesn't fit our team, or we do everything in Java, you could use maybe Arai is also nice. It uses Quit and has then also Java EE features. Or Salon is a new language, maybe, it's also nice. It also can compile down to JavaScript. Right. Oh, this is what I mentioned earlier. This is Ionic. It comes also with behavior and components. So it will already have like a native feel. You can swipe things and then reveal some buttons, which is what you see in very many mobile apps. But then you don't have to build it yourself. It already comes with components that have this behavior. You can also have like a little delete button here. There's a slide down these delete. You see that on iOS, for instance. So there's a lot of things going on in this space, and yeah, if you're not familiar with these, you should really check them out. So now it's enough time of talking, and now let's see how this works in.
So Eric explained you the concept of Cordova. Now we are going to see how to create a Cordova app, and for that I need, I think, 2 minutes. No.
Oh no. No, there's someone chatting. Gets rid of the Polish guy.
Okay, so how do you create a Cordova app? Cordova comes with its own CLI, but there's some tuning integrated in Eclipse already ready, which make things really easy. So how do you create a new Cordova project? By creating a new project. And here, if you see, I got mobile, I got iReal mobile Cordova application. So what I do here, I just give it a name, let's call it JUDCon, the JUDCon app. And here it asks me which version of Cordova I want to use. In our case, we will just be using the latest one, which is okay. And from there, I can just do finish, and I'm done. I got now an app, a Cordova app, that I can deploy on any devices. So if we look at the structure here, the most important part here is the www folder, which will contain actually your app. So just your HTML app, your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript, everything. You just put it here. Here you put the plugins that Eric explained, the plugins to access your native features like accessing the camera, accessing your contact, or enabling push notification, as we will see in a few minutes. So let's just deploy this app on a simulator that also comes with this tooling. So if we look here, at the run as, we have several options. We can already deploy it on an Android device if you want, on the emulator, on the iOS simulator. But for now, let's deploy it on the Cordova sim, which is a Cordova simulator. So it's running, it's starting, and in a few seconds, I should be able to see, hey, look, that's my app. That's a native app now. And let me show you how you can play with that. Oh, yeah. Here's here, yes. Let me show you, there's some really nice feature which is called the live reload server, which I will start here. And on my simulator, I will enable the live reload. And from that, I can just edit my application, and it will be updated in real time. So first of that, let's start this live reload server. It started, and if I go back to my simulator, I can see here, enable a live reload. And let's make it so that we can see both. That's good. Oh yeah, how can you make it nice that we can see both?
Yeah, sure. The resolution is a little bit different than
yeah.
So you can see both, and then we
yeah.
go to.
Then here we can look. If I change the title here and I put something else like JUDCon Boston, and I just save it, and here you can see that it just was updated. And basically, I can do the same with any CSS, any JavaScript. So when you start developing, that is really a convenient manner of playing with it. There's a simulator. At any time, I can just deploy that on a wheel simulator that comes with Xcode, for instance. If I plan to do some iOS development, what I can do here is just run on the iOS simulator. And that will just, normally, if the demo gods in Boston are nice, it will just start the iOS simulator. You can see here is preparing some stuff.
It's compiling the Xcode project.
It's compiling exactly the Xcode project, and in a few seconds, it will show us exactly the same app, but running. Look, here it starts. Resolution is a bit odd, but let me remove this. That's interesting. And you see here, that's exactly the same app, but running on the iOS simulator. And if I just plug my iOS device, and I can just deploy it on the device really. But now, to make the link from the previous talk, let's see how we can use the stuff, the amazing stuff from Joshua here. So basically, all we need to do, just to do one thing: grab the content of this web app folder and drop that in this folder. And that should be enough to have the contact app running natively. So let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's get rid of this stuff. Get rid of this stuff first.
Which stuff?
The stuff that's now here. This
Oh
is
yeah.
a demo app.
Oh yeah.
We don't want that.
Yeah. I can just.
Oh.
Can you do that, Eric, for me? It's Eric's.
It's my laptop. Let's do that like that.
Okay.
Hey,
And here you see that the live reload is working really well because there's no HTML though. It's just an error. And here we go. No, it's
Finder.
It's the Finder. It's the Finder.
So here is the folder from stuff from Joshua.
Exactly.
And I'm just gonna copy that in.
Yeah. I just grab that and I put it here. Copy it.
Now you forget there's one or two more steps to do.
Exactly. I was a bit lying. There's one more step because it's what Joshua was showing was running on the local host, and we are deploying that on the device, so the local host to retrieve the context make not really sense. So we have one thing to change is the URL of our backend service. And basically, it's just this line that I have to change. And let me just grab it.
Yeah.
Pick it from here. So basically, that's a version here from Joshua's service backend that we have deployed on OpenShift for convenience. Yeah, it's just my cheat sheet.
Okay.
Is here the font okay? On this one? Bigger. Okay. And
Very hard to remember this long OpenShift URL.
And here, if I copy this, that should be all
That
I
should be
need.
it, yeah.
Maybe we move this one.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if I have to reload.
No, you don't.
No, I don't. Look. So here, basically, what we have is the app that just show us, but running as a native app. And now you can put it in the stores and become rich. So, because everyone wants this contact app, I'm sure.
I have a lot of contacts.
I have a lot of contacts, yeah. Let's go a step further, Eric.
Yeah.
What could we add?
So wouldn't it, that's what always what project managers will say. Oh, this is great, but now I want a notification if somebody creates a new contact. We have like lots of people in our company, and somebody creates a new. I want to get notified.
Every time a new contact is, I want to be the first one who knows it.
Yeah.
That's
I may know this guy.
Okay. Let's try to add it.
Yeah. So for that we need some native parts, because push notifications is something that is integrated in the native platform.
Exactly. But I think we have a nice plugin for that.
We have a great plugin.
We have a great plugin for that. A plugin that will just handle push notification no matter where you deploy it, on which platform. You will just have the same code base for your client. There's some setup to do on the server side, but that will be next in the morning. Matthias will have an extended talk on this. So let's keep it on the client side. Let's see how we can add push notification to our app. Step one is installing the plugin. How do you install the plugin? Let's open the config. Oh yeah, I didn't mention, you can say a few words about the config.
So the config is basically the name of your app and the description and all kinds of settings. And we have a nice editor that shows the config XML in a nice way, but in the end it's just an XML file.
In the end, it's always XML. Okay, adding a plugin. It's really easy to add a plugin on a Cordova project using this tooling. Basically, all you have to do is to add, and here you can just search for plugins.
Yeah, there's a repository up on plugins.cordova.org or .io. No, plugins.cordova.io. This is where this list is gets fetched. But you can also install a plugin with Git or just a local file system.
In our case, let's search for plugins around push. And we have some plugins, but the one that we really want, the best one, is of course this one, the AeroGear Cordova push plugin. Once I click that, I can, anytime, I can change the version of the plugin. In our case, we just want to use the latest one, and we do finish, and we're done. That's it. And if you take a look at plugins here, we will see that the plugin has been installed. And here you can see that we have the support for the platforms. So now what we need to do is add some code, because it's not magic. It's not because just we add the plugin that you will receive push notifications.
No, you have to do a little bit of coding.
I have to do a little bit of coding. Well, a little bit of copy pasting configuration. So before I do that, maybe you can explain a bit what is.
So adding a plugin basically gets there is a global object called push, and that is the API to call this plugin. And there's a couple of methods on it. Actually, there's one method on it. It's called register. And you register your application with our unified push plugin. That's going to be Matthias's part to explain that a little bit more. And then there's obviously you have because it's a multi-platform app. There's a section here for iOS and a section here for Android. Then you call register, and then you say which function should be called when the notification happens. And in this case, this is this.
The notification.
This is declared way up there.
Way up there.
Yeah, and that will just you see here is a little bit jQuery magic going on. We'll just get this element with ID notification, and then we'll set the alert. This is passed in here, the event, and it has an alert property. And we'll set that text on the span, and that will just show. Then we just show this div. It will get rid of the. That's it.
That's it. So let's to copy paste the config.
Yeah,
because it's not a really exciting part doing that in live coding.
No, and it's hard to remember.
And it's a bit hard to remember.
Because there's a couple of things like you have to have a variant and yeah. More details on this later. We just want to demo this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Let's deploy this on the Cordova sim that I show you. Is nice for start developing, but as soon you start using plugins accessing native features like the push, the Cordova simulator is not enough because it does not support push, for instance. We are going to deploy on a wheel device. Can you just explain this a bit?
You do it and I'll explain what it is.
Okay.
This is a virtual, I'm always using this because it has some nice features, but this is a virtual machine that is actually acting like a real Android device, because Android is quite open source. They made this little thing. And then we can just deploy it there, and we can really receive notifications like it was an actual device. You can see this thing here. It also has GPS integration, and you have camera integration. You can test all the native features in this one. It's really nice.
Okay, so it's deploying. While it's deploying, let me open the web app, because we are going to create a contact from the web app and
get a notification.
Get a notification there. So let's get it on.
Go to Chrome.
Oh, Chrome, you get it already open.
Yeah. Just do.
Huh?
Oh, it's here.
Oh, it's here. Oh, he has prepared everything. And here. Is it still deploying, you think?
I hope not.
We hope not.
Let's unlock it first.
Let's unlock it first. So, this way?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not deployed, because otherwise it would have it starts the application as well.
Oh, okay.
Let's see what.
Oh,
we are just way too fast.
Hey, look, there it is.
There it is. We have to sign in.
Oh, we have to sign in. Let's sign in with Dan.
Our favorite Dan.
Oh.
That was not Dan.
Sign in, and let's go back to Chrome, and now the other one disappeared. Okay, he's still logged in?
I think so.
Okay, let's create a contact first.
Maybe maybe we should be really safe and just reload. Yeah, we're still logging.
It works.
It works, wow.
Okay, let's create a new contact. I have now Mr. JUDCon, and number is 1, 2, 3, 4. He works at JUDCon. And he is
There's. You can do it like this.
Oh yeah, exactly. He is born somewhere.
That's also if something good to Joshua already touched on this. You should always use these nice HTML5 inputs because they are also handled on the device very well. The device will do a special keyboard for an email address, for instance.
So let's save that.
Ah, we're not logged in. Ah,
We're logged in. Look, we received just a push notification, and I've got exactly the same app running on my phone. And I just, maybe you heard it, I also just received a notification that an application has been created. So basically, that's not that much magic. What we show you here, that's really all the code you needed to have push enabled. And of course, this afternoon we will play with that. We will help you to set this up if you want to play with push notifications. At this point, we have some ending slides.
We have one ending slide.
We have one ending slide.
Oh. Why did it do that? Oh. That's it.
That's it.
So we are supporting Cordova in our project. It's called AeroGear.org. So if you want more, if you're playing with Cordova and you want more native features, native functionality, there's more plugins that we have. We now just show you a push plugin, but there are plugins for geofencing and for cryptography. And there's a one-time password plugin. So if you want, come by on our site, visit us check out our project on GitHub, or come chat with us in IRC. We're always there because we're working all over the world. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Geen vraag.
Oh, je gaat hem.
All right, I'm back. For those of you who don't know me from earlier, my name is Joshua Wilson, and I have with me
Shane Brozek.
Come on over here, don't be shy. Yeah, I gotta do a little technical setup here. Actually, can you plug that one in, please? Yeah. Kind of important if you actually want to see what we're looking at.
It's so bright up here. Right, so that's not the right. You need to switch the connector.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Wrong one.
You get that in?
I can.
It might be upside down.
Yep. There we go. All right, so in the last talk that I gave, we covered the as we get set up in the last talk that we did. Yeah. Come on in. Get a little closer. There we go. All right, and you can see the screen. Nope, you're not going to get any taller. Can we get a box for him, please? All right. Get the code back up. All right. So to catch back up, thanks Sebi and Eric for the dive into Cordova and the mobile push. We're going to dive into the security side. Before we get into the security piece of it, this is going back to the example that we've been running, the contacts mobile secured application. And when we designed this and developed it, the idea was to create the best architecture style that we could, not just put it together and yeah, that works, but to give you guys something that's really solid to work off that would scale well for a real application. And so take a couple minutes to go over that, and then I'm going to hand it over to Shane, where he can explain how all of the security features work and play out. The first thing I want to show you is the layout of the structure of the files. Something that's very different than what a lot of us have done in the past is this is package by feature instead of package by layer. And so we have everything for the contacts customer in one package. And what that does, especially in a larger application, you have everything self-contained, and if you wanted to remove a feature, you simply remove the entire package. And it should not, if you did it right, it should not break anything when you do it. Instead of having to hunt through each layer for each little piece of everything to change anything. And so in the long run, it actually makes it a lot easier to maintain.
Except for that package.
Yeah, we've only got one package.
But if you delete that one, your app will break.
So we won't have anything to show? Well, it has the security in it.
The JAX-RS activator is an application level thing which enables REST for your app. So
yeah, I should have pulled
probably
that
go
out.
somewhere else.
Yeah, I should have pulled that out. Got to refactor that one. And we wouldn't have anything to show.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be
Okay, so that would be bad.
Yeah.
All right. So it's not perfect yet. We're still working on it. And it's in GitHub, and so I take pull requests. All right. As this is a standard CRUD app, I'm going to start at the bottom. And here's the mobile. Not mobile, the contact itself. Let me spread that out a little so we can see it. And we have some JPA named queries at the top, and then it's just getters and setters. But the validation on the server side, some of it is done here. As promised earlier, I'd point you guys out to where that's done, and so you can see there's some regex that's done here, and messages that are passed back out, depending on what happens. Yeah, and don't put in future dates or past dates. You get funny looking things. All right, the contact repository is a layer in between that in here you can see it's pulling in the contact find all, and that was, as I scroll back up, this named query, contact find all, and so they're linked that way. So you can understand a little bit of JPA in there. You can also build a query on the fly here. The last thing I want to point out, I'm going to go a little fast so that Shane has plenty of time to talk about all the cool security stuff.
Sounds good.
This is our REST endpoint. And so we start with private contacts as the endpoint as we get into it. And the standard get is going to retrieve all the contacts. I'm going to let Shane talk about logged in a minute and hand off to him. This is just jumping down in and pulling out those contacts, and you can pull it by email. And then down here, a little further down where the create contact is, requires a roles allowed. And so the Java stuff isn't that innovative. It's just a REST endpoint, pretty straightforward, but it's when you start using these annotations it gets into the security side. So I'm going to hand this over to Shane, and have at it.
Right. So I'm going to be talking about security. If you're not asleep yet, you soon will be.
Caffeine, please.
Yes. I'm going to start off with just explaining how you can configure PicketLink for your application. So PicketLink is a security framework for Java EE, provides authentication and authorization services, and just as of very recently, authentication for your stateless architectures, i.e. your RESTful applications using JWT. So if we just
You want the web?
expand the, nope, I just go into here. Yes, I do want the web.
Down a little further and keep going. There it is.
So that one there. So this is the project's web.xml. If you've done anything with servlets before, you'll know what this is. So there's 3 steps in configuring Picket Link for an application. So step number 1 is to enable the authentication filter. So this is a standard servlet filter. You configure it in your web.xml. The filter class is there. This is documented in the Picket Link reference docs. And we give
Double
it
click on that, you might actually see more of it on the
Sure.
screen.
There we go. So this is standard filter configuration. We give it a name, and then we map it to the URL that covers the entirety of our RESTful endpoint namespace, I guess you'd call it.
Just click.
Yeah. There's a couple of other parameters here. So for the authentication filter, we're actually telling it that we wish to use stateless authentication. So what happens when we set that to true is when you hit the filter, it will look for basic HTTP authentication. So it will examine your headers and look for the basic authentication, which is a standard HTTP authentication mechanism. Once it finds that, it will perform an authentication and then return a JWT token. And then for every subsequent request that is sent after that, the JWT token will be sent as a header value. And that's how the authentication is performed and propagated throughout each request in your application until you eventually make a logout request and your token is at that point in time invalidated. So that's step 1, enabling that filter. What was step 2? Okay, step 2 is to actually configure Picket Link itself. So if we go back up to our code, look in the security package here. So we've got a class which we've called security configuration. The most significant thing of interest here is the configure identity management method. So this is actually an observer method. It will listen for the security configuration event. So once this method gets fired as a result of that event being called, we get the reference to a security configuration builder object from the event object. And then from there, can I walk out of frame to point this at this stuff? Is that acceptable?
Probably better to point with the mouse.
Oh, okay, fine.
That way the camera records it too.
So this is a Fluent API for configuring Picket Link. So from the builder object, we can call a bunch of other stuff to configure various aspects of Picket Link. So first thing we do is tell Picket Link that our identity bean, which is the bean that represents the currently authenticated user, is going to be stateless. So it means that the identity bean will exist for the scope of your request and then it will be destroyed at the end. If we didn't do that, then by default the identity bean would be stateful and it would by default be scoped to your session.
That's not very REST-like.
No, it's not. So that's why we make it stateless. So traditionally, Java EE would generally use a more stateful architecture. You'd be using like JSF or something like that, which is very session oriented. In that case, your identity bean would be a session scope bean. So once we do that, the only other thing we want to do is configure the IDM, the identity management. So we give it a configuration name. That's just an arbitrary string. We tell it that for its backend identity stores, we wish to use JPA. So we wish to use a database. There's a few other options here. If you're in a corporate environment, then you're likely to be to have like an LDAP server or corporate Active Directory or something like that. So Picket-Link supports that. For development, you might want to just use the file system because it's quick and easy to get started with. But for many use cases, you'll probably be using a database and store your users and groups and roles and all of those things in database tables. So what we have here are a bunch of entity beans, which I won't describe now, but basically they're the beans which store the identity state for your application. So we tell Picket-Link that we wish to store everything in the database, and we tell it which entity beans to use, and it will go off and scan those entity beans and automatically work out what gets stored where. So it's a bit smart in that regard. Also tell it that we wish to use token credentials. So we're using JWT, JSON Web Tokens. So for credential management, we want to use the token credential handler. That's step 2. And step 3 is the fun part. So security initializer. So once we've set up our filter and we've configured Picket-Link, the last thing we want to do is to actually create some default identities. So we wish to create users and roles when the application starts up so that you actually have some state there that you can use to log in with. So here we have a helper method called createUser. So this is the code where our actual admin account is being created. This helper method also accepts the role. So this is where we assign the roles as well. If we scroll down to where that's defined, create user. So in this method we pass in the login name, password, the role, and petition manager. From there we use the identity manager API, and from that we can simply call add. So it's got a very CRUD-like API for user management. So we can just simply call add and create the user object, and it gets persisted in the database, and then we set the password for that. So add the user here, set their password there, and then we assign the role further down here. So it's just a helper method which makes things easier for us. I think we're going to jump to the endpoints now and look at them.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Scroll up just a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so Joshua just pointed out the RESTful endpoints for the contact service.
There we go.
Okay, so the first one here, we can see that it's annotated with the @logged in. So has anyone heard of Apache Delta Spike?
Some of the crowd.
Any of our visitors? Just not too many. So a little bit of history. Has anyone heard of Seam? Okay, some more people there. So many of the features from the Seam project ended up being migrated, as you will, to the Apache Delta Spike project. So Delta Spike is a set of portable extensions for CDI. So it basically provides features that add enhanced functionality to your Java EE environment. So one of those cool features is the type-safe security annotations. So the way that works is basically defines a security interceptor which you can use to intercept methods that are annotated with your security binding types. So one example of which is logged in. So this is an annotation that we provide in a Picket-Link module, which is actually an integration module for Picket-Link and Delta Spike to bring that type-safe security binding feature into the Picket-Link world, so that you can use the Picket-Link authorization features in conjunction with the Delta Spike annotations. So what we've done is provided a set of 4 annotations which we think make most sense for people developing enterprise applications. So the first one is logged in. This annotation simply checks whether there is a currently authenticated user. So if you haven't logged into your application yet and you try to invoke this method, then the security interceptor will check whether you're logged in, and if you're not, it will fail and throw some kind of authorization exception.
That exception.
That one?
I'm thinking.
No,
No?
it won't even get that far.
Won't even get that
No.
far?
No, it won't.
So logged in keeps you from even getting into the method.
Right.
Fantastic.
Yes, it's really good. It'll probably throw an HTTP error code, depending on how it's configured.
I think I've seen that a couple of times.
Yeah. Right. So there's a couple more. I don't think we use all of them here. So one of them is roles allowed. Then we have another one for groups allowed. And then there's a third one which is quite generic, which is just called restrict, and it allows you to define an EL expression, and you can basically put what you want in there as your security check. And it's very easy to create your own annotations as well. So roles allowed is another type-safe security binding. This one in particular allows you to specify some role names. So if I go into the code for these, we'll see that they're just constants. So these are just arbitrary string values. So when we go to invoke this method, the security interceptor will do a check to ensure that the currently authenticated user is a member of either the maintainer role or the admin role. If they're not, then the method just won't be invoked and you'll get an authorization exception. So I think that pretty much covers it. It's pretty simple. Once you configure everything, it's really easy to apply security to your methods. It's as simple as just putting an annotation there, and then the picket link framework takes care of the rest for you.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so nice and easy. Are there any questions about any of that? No one's awake anymore. Yes?
How do you compare the ticket link with Apache Cordova for
How would I compare it?
Repeat the question, please.
How would I compare Picket Link with Apache Shiro or Spring Security? Feature by feature, they're quite comparable. There's some slight differences, which I probably can't really get into in much detail now because I'll be talking for another 20 minutes about them. But they basically implement a similar set of features, so it's a matter of personal taste. Picket Link is built from the ground up to work well with CDI, Java EE6 and Java EE7, and to work well with the JBoss suite of projects.
I believe we have about 3 hours during lunch and afterwards, which might be more than enough time for us to exhaust it, go over all the differences.
Right.
Don't worry about it.
Is there any way that people can contact you with questions?
Yes. Could email me, I guess. Do I want to give them my email address? I don't know about
Do you want email?
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, that's safe. So just S Bryzak, BRYZAK on Twitter. So tweet me.
I'm also on Twitter. You can follow me at JavaJoshW. So, and ask questions there too.
Great. No
Thank you
more
very much.
Questions? I think we're done.
I think it's Jason Porter next, if I'm right. Oh, I'm sorry. Jason's later.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seriously, take your time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I need power as well because I don't.
There's a power here. We can get you plugged in.
Hey man, do we have power? Okay.
Have power here. Do you have the cord?
Yeah, in my bag. I'm getting it in a sec.
Okay, should be alright for you.
I hope so.
Me too. You've done to your laptop.
Hmm?
You've done to your laptop. It doesn't look fit anymore.
Fuck it, I don't care.
You okay?
No?
No. Should we route this maybe underneath? Do you need it to hold it up?
I need to use it when typing, but it's like sliding down.
Yeah, okay.
Basically, I brought over the settings for the project, and I tried also just JBoss, and I was getting errors. And it started complaining about the plugins. The plugins weren't fine. So it's like, restore my environment back to the way it was.
Hey Paul, how's that? What?
Can we put something on the background?
Yeah.
It's a bit messy, isn't it?
Yeah, right. That's. I don't have anything with me.
Have we got something like cardboard, a bit of paper, or what's in the background?
No, you like where the phone is laying on?
Outside the front desk.
Yeah, that's all there is.
I moved there with 3 cars, so I had to basically,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if that.
I've not tried that yet.
Hmm?
I've not tried that with my daughter yet.
Huh.
Contrast isn't good, is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's good enough, I guess.
So is your problem this light here? Can we just turn this on for a second? Just to see if that's what's causing the problem. Can you switch to this?
What's the problem?
I just want to see if it's trying to get some contrast. It's not very clear, is it? If you look on the screen there.
Should I do more contrast?
I think it's us that's the problem. I think that's okay. I don't know how much. Okay, actually, brightening is probably going to help. Can you brighten it?
Yeah, I did.
Can you just try a bit more?
Sure.
Actually, I think that's looking good now, anyways.
Wait a second.
No, that's too much.
Wait, that's not the menu I'm showing.
Okay. Can you do that? I think that's okay though, isn't it now?
Is that okay, Andy?
Let's just put this back on, see if it...
I mean, it's only part of a little demo.
What do you think? Which one do we go for?
Okay. So, one second, is this okay or not?
I think that's okay.
How long is it? 11:25 or so? 11:25 was the time, right? When it's ending?
When you finish, I'm not sure. Andrew, how long has it got?
You got
40 minutes? Like 11:25?
45, how long do you want?
Yeah, probably half hour, 40 minutes, something like that.
Let's go with 40 minutes.
Okay, I try. Ah, okay. Okay.
We'll give you a cue to start. Are you ready though?
I'm ready, huh?
You ready, Andrew?
Whenever you're ready then.
Yeah, I'm ready. All right. Hello, folks. Welcome to the talk on AeroGear running on OpenShift. My name is Matthias Wessendorf. I'm with Red Hat, particularly there in the JBoss middleware team, where I'm leading the AeroGear project. AeroGear project is a project that helps you to get started with mobile. You have seen already a few talks. The previous one with the Cordova integration. That's part of what we offer. But we also have support for native libraries on Android and on iOS. Besides my position there, sometimes I write blog posts on my personal website. I also have a Twitter account, M. Wessendorf on Twitter. The focus for this talk is not really everything what AeroGear offers. If you want to check out, go to the website, aerogear.org. You get a bunch of information what we do. The main focus for this talk is really showing you integration of push notifications within your Java EE backend and how to receive that on native applications. Kind of an advanced introduction of the previous one where you saw the AeroGear Cordova plugin already. Did one of you guys actually do mobile already? So nobody? All right. So, but push notification is something that almost everybody that has a smartphone has been facing before. It is always an interesting way to think about it, like push notifications. The fundamental thing when you use like a mobile device using your favorite messenger, like chatting to other folks, when you think about what's going on under the covers, it's still like very impressive. So you have your phone, you type in something, it goes through the cloud, and eventually it shows up on your peer's phone where you're chatting with or texting with. So it's still something like that is, for us techies, is like, yeah, but if you think about it, it is still impressive. Because of the breaking boundaries, like it goes really through the cloud and relies on all the internet infrastructure, and it is fast. You type something on your favorite like messenger, and it shows up a second later or less than a second later on the phone of the peer. So that really, when you do something like push notification, something that you always should have in mind is that the cloud is really present there and is a like important part on it. How it technically works, we will see in a sec, but just an outlook. So your business backend needs a library in order to contact a certain mobile provider, and that mobile provider will eventually make sure it will be received on your phone. So for instance, your backend provider is our AeroGear server. It goes to the Google Cloud or to the Apple Cloud, and these infrastructure pieces are delivering it to the mobile device. It's not your app. So there's always certain work that go through the cloud. Push notifications, the use cases there, it is really a nice vehicle to drive engagement with your users. So you do have an app in the App Store, and you want your users to love your app. You want the users to use your app very often. So, but you don't want the app being sitting there on the back somewhere in the app, like page number 5 or something like that. Every now and then, if you figure it's time to share some information with them, push notification is the way to go. But it's also something to use with carefulness. If you, for instance, start spamming your users, I'm sure that doesn't really help. If you send like a gazillion messages, like every 1 hour, like 5 or 6 messages, that probably doesn't help. There's some exceptions. For instance, I'm a huge soccer fan, so if my team is playing and they're making one goal after another, I'm pretty happy. I do appreciate the amount of push messages going to the device from the back end of their servers. But yeah, if you, at the end of the day, if you think about it, your app is in the App Store and the users are holding your brand in their hands, right? You have to be very careful with it. So push notification is a nice way to reach out and make the folks be more engaging with the application so that you guys stay connected and keep in touch. On the AeroGear project, we do have a server called Unified Push Server. That one is very easy to get started with. Well, you need to do some configuration with third-party providers as well, like all the setup that you need in order to actually allow to send messages to the Apple infrastructure and to the Google infrastructure for like Android or iOS messaging can be a little bit hard. We have on our website, we have detailed tutorials that get you started in what you actually have to click within the Google or within the Apple web UIs in order to get like a certain certificate. But it can take a little bit. Once you're done with these third-party integration bits, then it is really getting easy for you because you can use our very simple UI, upload the required certificates. The Unified Push Server is a cross-platform server. Means really, right now at this point, we do support for iOS and we do support Android. So you have one unified API. You send like one REST call against our backend, and we make sure it is delivered in a proper format for Android, meaning Google Cloud Messaging, and for iOS, meaning APNS. One advantage that we have as well is you can run it in the cloud using OpenShift, but if you feel you need to run the Unified Push Server locally in your own data center or whatever, you can do that as well. So you can go to the website, download our server, and stick it into Wildfly running within your own data center. Or you will be using the cloud-hosted one, which will be part of the demo here. Okay, let me see if I can get that image a little bigger. All right. So technically, what does it mean? What are the steps that you guys have to do? First, you have to have the setup on your own with the third-party providers, like you need an Apple account, you need a Google account, and then you need to enable, you need to like create certificates and application keys there. But once you've done all that work, it's very easy to get started with the server. So you as a developer or push administrator, you log into the server, and what you basically do is you create a logical concept of a push application, and the push application can have a different variant, like variation for iOS and variation for Android. Those are fundamentally different things on the server side, but we cover them with one unified API. So you add whatever variant you need, for instance, Android or iOS, or just one of them, and that's you need to do as a user on the server, right? Then the next thing is, okay, you want to get the information, like you really use push notification on the device. What you do there is the server gives you a key value pair that you need to do on the device in order to have the device register with our server so that our server can then eventually cause messages being sent to your device. So that's what you really need to do. That's the step number 2. Once that is done and the app is in the App Store, you're good to go. So then at some point you figure, well, I would like to get a message out, right? If you think about publishing companies, so they have a workflow system and they publish a new article, right? They may have listeners. One sends out an email notification to everybody that is registered. Another one does a little tweet. Another notification handler does a little Facebook update. Another one finally publishes it on the website. And then you could have a different one that is talking to the unified push server saying, hey, all the guys that have the mobile app, they should get a notification. We do have a new article out there in our app or on our website or whatever. That message goes through the sender API, which is basically a RESTful endpoint on the server, goes through the sender API into our system. We process it, and we deliver the chunks to Google and to Apple for iOS and for Android delivery. And then what happens, it's not our server that's directly talking to your device. It is their infrastructure that eventually will deliver the message through their channels to your phone. Oops. All right. We do have an advanced showcase that gives you an idea what you generally can do with push notifications. It's called AeroDoc, and the idea and the concept behind the AeroDoc is really, it is a system to track leads for certain doctors that have requirement that want to see a sales agent, right? And it uses features like geolocation-based search, and then based on the area where the new customer is in, you can select a specific sales agent to actually see the customer. So let's get started. All right. Here's the very simple UI from the AeroDoc example. It is a server-side application here, which is using Java E like RESTful endpoints, very similar to the architecture that you've seen before, using picket link for security. I'm logging here as like the guy that is in charge to create the new lead. I sign in there. All right. I did already create a lead for the city of Boston here, like Dr. King Schultz. You may notice that reference. So, right, here's the city of Boston, and then this is based, the UI here is based on OpenLayer, so I can increase the radius that I'm looking for sales agents. Well, there's no one showing up right now. That means basically perhaps those guys that are not on PTO, they may be not in that area. I do have a native mobile app here on my device, which already has the AeroDoc. I'm logging in there. I'm logging in there as a sales agent. And in this case, I'm Maria. All right. I already see the existing leads in there, like Dr. Fu and Dr. King Schultz. And then, yeah, I let the app go away for a little bit. So, okay. So now, Maria was driving to Boston, right? And she got out of the plane or out of the car and opens the phone. What the phone did is it did register with the business backend of the AeroDoc. It was providing location information like the current data where she currently is. So now when I perform that search again here, like that one, I did not. Let me do again. Okay. It should be showing me Maria here. So then I find the sales agent, and then I can select the button here, like which guy I would like to send a message to. And when I click here on send, basically the business backend uses a library from us, talks to the unified push server. The unified push server then delivers the message, in this case, to the Apple Cloud, and the Apple Cloud eventually will deliver the message to the device. So I found Maria now in here. I send her a message. Oops, I got it on my phone. Let me switch over. So in the moment when I was selecting Maria here and I sent the message, basically went out that there is a new contact. So let me open the app again. And then when I now go here into that application, the new lead is there, like the doctor that I would need to visit. I can then also click accept here. What that actually does is it issues a vanilla REST request against the backend, and the backend then knows the sales agent called Maria is accepting that lead and she's driving there. So based on this rule, what we also have in the backend, all the other sales agents are notified that someone is already going to that customer, right? It would be pretty annoying if like a sales force shows up at the customer, right? We want to continue business with them. So I could do that. I don't have a second phone here. But that's the basic workflow. So here you, based on like geographic information, you can do whatever you want. You can like search in a certain radius and then really see, okay, that particular sales agent is over there. Right, send her the lead and let she visit the customer. Are there any questions so far? All right. Okay, so that was a demo with what's possible, right? Like a full-blown application, like a full running business backend, and a mobile native device application here. So let's start from scratch to build something that shows you how to actually set up the server and get started with our APIs. So the setup, as I said before, is very simple once you have done all the work with the third-party vendors, and then the work on the administrative UI does not only allow you to create the logical construct of like the push application and the different variants, it also gives you a nice way to see code snippets for Android, for iOS, or for Cordova that you just can copy, put on your application, and then ship it to the App Store. And the server also has a little UI which you can use for testing messages. Like you can send specific messages out of the UI. It's kind of a neat feature if you don't necessarily have a business backend right now, but you registered your device with the server and you want to see if it's working or not. That would be a nice way to actually use the Compose UI. Cordova code goes pretty good on a slide. I show native iOS stuff later. Basically, the plugin that you've seen already in the morning earlier, the Cordova push plugin, has a certain configuration here. In this case, I'm using the Android one, so I provide the sender ID, which is a value that is required on Android native client applications. And then you basically get a variant ID from our server and a secret from our server that the device can actually register with this particular logical construct of the application. So once you have that little JSON object here in Cordova land, you just stick it into a function called register, and you give it a bunch of handlers, like an on-notification handler, which obviously is invoked when the message arrives on the phone and goes through the Cordova layer into your JavaScript application. You pass in a success handler, which basically gives you an idea, yep, I was able to register with the server. And then there's an error handler, which is invoked in any kind of error cases. For instance, if you're using Android and you don't have a Google account on your phone, it will give you a specific error message like service not available. So all these cases are covered in the error handler, as well as for one reason you shut down the server and the device cannot connect to the server. All right, let's see that all together here. So the AeroGear Unified Push Server is available on OpenShift. So once you get a free account there, you log in, and then you find on the application tabs, you find a button called Add Application. And the AeroGear Push cartridge is promoted in here. You just click on the push cartridge. You give it a name, AeroGear Boston, I call it now. And then you create the application. And that takes a little bit and sets up a OpenShift instance with the server that contains the unified push application. I did prepare that already for you guys. So once everything has been set up, you will be prompted to the login UI. Initially, you have to change the password, the default password. Let me log in. All right, I see one test application already here. Let me create another abstract, another application. Boston JUDCon, right? Okay, so I see here now I have a second application in my server UI. I see there is nothing in there right now. Okay, let's fix that. I dive in there, and then what I do here is I click on Add for a new variant, and I give this guy a name called iOS. I have to scroll a little bit down, and I'm selecting the Apple Push Network. Apple Push Network, in order to set up push notifications, you get a certificate which you are asked to export in a certain file format, .p12 file. and it is highly recommended to give that certificate export a passphrase. I type in my secret super secure passphrase here, and I choose the actual file. So here we go. And there is a certain differentiation within Apple. They have like productive and development stages. This is a certificate that I created with a development profile. That can also get messy. If you by accident choose the wrong profile, it will give you a very encrypted error and it can confuse you a little bit. So, okay. Let me create that variant. And then you see I have now one variant. So I'm now done with the UI side, with the setup within the Unified Push server. What I really need is an application that registers itself with the server, and then later on I will send a message through it. Okay. We do have code snippet generation tab. So that generates your Cordova's JavaScript code that you will be using in the afternoon. Right now here I'm showing you iOS. Okay, so this is the piece that you basically can copy into the specific iOS callback. It gives you already the right URL, so you don't have any typos in the server where the server is actually running. If it's running on some ports or under some specific context, the UI is aware of all of that. And it knows about the variant ID and the secret, which is used in order to have the device register with the server. Okay. Okay, let's do the following. Let's create an iOS app from scratch. It is quite a lot of work to do that. Fortunately, within AeroGear, we do have a template for Apple's Xcode. We click the AeroGear template here in Xcode, and then we give it a name. You have to be very careful when you create those Apple-specific certificates. Your bundle identifier must match this one here in the certificate on the server side. Otherwise, you're not able to receive push messages. All I really need here is the push support. And then I save the application somewhere. Yeah, I replace that one. Okay, what that gives me is a skeleton project of a very empty application. It has no dependency in there right now. Let me download the dependencies. Oops. I don't understand what you mean.
Jack the font if you could.
Okay, sorry. Okay. Green on black is also very good. This is really only needed to generate a project that you later can include in Xcode, which under the covers does a download for dependencies in a way like you may know from Maven. Okay, I'm now in that project here. I do have a pod file which could be compared to a POM file in Maven. What I do basically here is pod install.
That's it?
Hmm?
It needs to be a bit larger.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It basically downloads all the dependencies in the back. And it generates me a workspace, and all I really need to do is I just need to open the workspace, and I'm back in Xcode. All right. So this pods folder basically shows me all the libraries that I'm using here. I use the AeroGear push library there. That's good. And then I go into the section of the generated code. So this is probably big enough. So the code is almost empty. The one thing that you need to provide is here in that particular template. You need to provide the URL of the server. Let me copy that quickly over. I can copy it right here. I just do a return here, and then I have the value, right? And the other pieces that I really have to provide is the variant ID and the variant secret. So let me do the following here. I could have copied the entire thing, but just let me copy the ID and its secret. In a similar fashion to what Joshua was showing before, the template that generates that application has a good amount of comments in there so that you are able to learn a little bit more about Objective-C there. So let me do a callback here real quick that I get something, hey, I was able to register on the server. Hit the server, because you may face network issues with Wi-Fi or whatever. Okay, there's no more conflict, and now let me try to run it on my device. So it's now bundling and compiling the application, and in a bit it will be deploying it on my phone. The app is almost empty. That means there's nothing to see. There's a black image background. Now it's running more scripts, and now it is deploying it actually on my phone. It's trying to run it on my phone. Okay, something happened here. You see the green power bar here. That means the application is actually active and visible, but because I was just using a very simple skeleton there, we didn't do any fancy stuff there in the generated app, because for a user it would be meaning, okay, I have to remove it anyways, I just want to get going, right? So the app is now running, and if you can see here in the log, so my callback, the registration with the server was successful, and I was just using a log message here in the console that my phone was actually able to register itself with the server, okay? So let me put the app back in the background mode. And all right, back to the UI of the server. So previously, we didn't see any registered device. Now, the UI looks slightly different. I have a table here with all the installations, like meaning devices registered with this logical construct of the iOS application. I could dive in here, and I see a little bit more of the data. I see the actual device token. I can see the phone type. I can see the platform. Like, obviously, it's iOS, but it could be an iPod as well, or an iPad, right? So you can distinguish then over a device type feature. Okay, that's nice so far, but what we really would like to do is to send a message, right? Like testing if all of that works. For that, we recently added a little compose a message UI. And yeah, let me type something. Like, hello there, JUDCon Boston. Okay, I sent a message, and as you can see here, almost a second later or half a second later, it was coming through the entire system. So on the OpenShift cloud, our unified push server was basically delivering the message request to Apple's cloud. My device, per se, is connected with Apple, and that persistent connection is then used by Apple to distinguish what application on the phone needs to get that message. So there was zero code involved, and I did receive a nice notification. Let me try it again. I can say, hello there again, right? I can turn on sound. Maybe you hear it then. So nothing code was involved on the business backend side, right? This is a nice way to test. You could even use that compose a push message feature to, hey, like marketing messages. Like, folks, tomorrow is the big sales off, right? Get discount. Show the app, show the message in the store, something like that. Okay. So that's a nice way to get started. So the previous one, there was no differentiation between different users or different user groups. We can do that also with the AeroGear Unified Push Server. For that, we do have the concept of aliases, which is like a username or email address or something like that, or a category, like a certain group of folks. You can tag them, basically. For this case here, I was using in the Cordova plugin, same code as before, just 2 more values that you provide. So I'm doing JBoss and I'm doing mobile, like as my category tags, right? So if I then apply a message to all the folks that have JBoss or have mobile, only those specific user group gets the message instead of doing a broadcast basically to everyone. The Cordova related talk did show the RESTful application for the contacts, right? And you saw and did hear that Sebastian was able to get a push message when those guys were doing in the we're creating a new contact in that contacts application. So what we do here is basically we show the backend integration how it actually works. I said before that the server is a RESTful endpoint server. So that means any library that you want can probably send from your business backend a message to the server. To make life a little bit easier, we have support for Java, which you can use in Grails. Sebastian is a Grails committer. He did something, a plugin there for Grails. We do have a PHP client, and we do also have a Node.js client. So all of these platforms are able to actually send a message from their application to the push server. So, and that can be used for any kind of things, right? You can react on a certain event. As I mentioned before, the publisher scenario, you have already a good workflow with like Twitter, Facebook, email, whatever, and then you may integrate another observer in your workflow that now, in addition, sends out notification to the mobile devices using our unified push server. Or any kind of automation, like in 15 minutes, the task, blah, 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 has to be done. So you can be very creative there. The Java library is pretty simple to use. You basically create a new object. As a constructor argument, you pass in the URL of the server, and then we have a Fluent API to actually compose or build the unified message. Similar way here, you have to give the push application ID and a master secret. There's a slightly different ID here versus from the variant. The push application ID is basically from the umbrella that stores all the different variants, and you're only allowed to send a message to that one, and it delivers to all the different variants. It is highly recommended to not store the push, to not store the push application ID and the master secret on the phone. So yeah, so we don't really allow. I mean, you could do it, but it's highly recommended to not do it. To send messages out of the phone. We always prefer going through that proxy like with the backend, because then you have more control and more secure solution. What we do here is we provide an alias. So this message, what we really want to deliver, like the message, we have a problem, we want to give it to Mr. Wolf or Marcellus Wallace. And sound default, I don't have any sound attached to the ringtone that you did here before was the default sound that you get for free on iOS. And then you compose with a very Fluent API, you compose the unified push message, do the build, and then stick it into a send message. You can give it a callback, which then lets you know, hey, I was able to actually reach the server, and the server will eventually deliver it to all the cloud providers. And there's also an option to react on an error. For instance, you have a typo in the URL or whatever. Yeah, let me show you how the code looks. So in your POM file, you are...
Can't see it.
Can't see it, okay. Yeah, 1 second. Command plus. Doesn't work. Okay. That's probably better. I'm on it, General. All right. Okay. So what you really need to do is in your POM file, just add the little dependency for the unified push Java client, and you use the latest version number in there. That adds the dependency to your backend. So the code that is in charge of sending out the push message, in this case that Eric and Sebastian were showing, is this little push notifier class. The magic here is it is a listener on an entity. So every time after something has been persisted in the system, like a new contact has been created, this post persist function in my class here was invoked. And what that really does, it invokes a private send message, which then, again, as you've seen on the slide before, creates the unified push message, it builds it. We give some message in here, like a new contact, meaning Mr. Something was created. And again, we do the default sound here, and that's it. And the send message gets the push object in here that you use with the Fluent API. And here you actually see a concrete information, a concrete example on how to deal with the different information the server gives you back. In a successful case, the onComplete is invoked, gives you a positive status code, and if there's any kind of error, like network issue, whatever, the on-error callback will be invoked. If you're wondering how to actually register this listener with your entity, there is a entity listener annotation, which basically takes the class and then by default within the JPA lifecycle, after persistent did occur, that notifier is invoked. Sebastian, you may have your phone for me real quick. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm using the backend now from theirs. Okay, I log in here with the super password. Okay. Did not work. Okay, I made a typo. So now when I create a new contact in here, like, let's give it some email address, I read that one, and I give it the birth date, well, maybe today. So now when I click the save here, basically the RESTful endpoint I showed you guys before is invoked after the server could persist the object. It then sends the message out to the unified push server, and the push server again delivers to the different cloud providers, and those are in charge of getting the notification out to the device. I click save here, and yeah, so you see here the contacts app, like new contact Matze Westendorf created. So basically you get a nice notification if you do like in your corporate contacts, like for leads, for customers or whatever, that you can know, okay, somebody did create the object in there. Let me go back to the slides. Do we have some time?
Yep.
Okay. I have a few more examples that you can do with the push server. Proper usage of client notification. So sending out a push message is not the same like real-time messaging. You have better tools for that, but push goes very well in addition to that one. So if your app is like really online, imagine a kiosk app, right? Something that's Square Desk, where you have like the terminal application there. Those guys are permanently connected. They're always plugged to power. You can run and maintain your own persistent connections there using Stomp, for instance, right? But push is really something to reach out to users that are not always like online, right? If you enter a plane to fly from here to Europe, and while you are crossing the ocean, someone is sending you something with the push message. As soon as you turn on your phone and you get back on data connection, you still do receive the push message. So it's something that is nicely to use in addition to that one. What you can also do is you send custom values. In the source code that you've seen before, there was a little ID so that you know the ID of the new entity object. In this case, a contact was created. And you can perform certain reaction on messages. Based on the code that the application receives, it could download some data, it could update the UI based on whatever it needs to do. So it's always very important if the application is receiving a push notification, you're always asked to come up with a nice flow and let the user kindly know there was something that has been changed or updated. Like you could give them a custom widget that says, if you click here, we are downloading the latest PDF with all the parts that we sell. So yeah, don't be a drag to refresh. I mean, users do appreciate a good notion of an interactive application. How would it look on Cordova, JavaScript side of things? So the previously mentioned on notification function gives an event object that has a payload. And in there, I'm free to use whatever I want. So there could be a task that is a new lead. And if there's task new lead, there's also always for me information with the geodata, right? I do extract that out of the push notification that I sent to the device. And then I use it in my custom JavaScript function to actually show the map like, hey, the customer is located over there. Another example, and that goes back to the initial demo, is that you really get the most out of it if you have like an interaction between client and server. So the server was sending something to the client like saying, hey, I have a new lead. Please, dear sales agent, go and visit the customer. And then sales agent is agreeing to drive there, clicks an accept button, it goes through the proxy of the business backend, sending a message out to all the other guys. Okay, I drive there. Guys, please also do not show up there. So yeah, the rich interaction between the different types, like the push server, the business backend, and also the different mobile devices is really, yeah, leveraging advanced features like geodata. And for geodata, you could come up with a bunch of like use cases. For instance, I walk through a mall and the client is approaching my shop. I know that because he has up-to-date geolocation. I could send him out, hey, special offer for you if you come to my shop within the next 5 minutes or so. And then there's the well-known example of nearby cabbies that you can ask to pick you up somewhere, right? So that not one of the other end of the city is driving to you. A close-by driver makes sense. And yeah, of course, the sales representative example that we had in there. Those use cases, they all have large challenges. Like real-time is always a matter. Push may have latency, right? It is not guaranteed by Apple, neither by Google, that the message will hit your phone at all. So if you build like mission-critical stock tickers, you better don't get the message out using push. You would do like real-time messaging for that one. Because if the latency is too high on stock prices, you may be very poor or very rich. Depends on what direction it goes. Another problem to maintain is always up-to-date geolocation. And yeah, that also drains the battery a lot, right? So there's quite some challenges when you build those applications. You have to be, yeah, nice to the power of the battery, so that's not like crazy. After you spin a little bit on the UI, the device will die. If we do have a little bit more time, I would like to preview what we're right now working on with the new push administrative UI. All right. Okay, so that was fast. So we are right now in the works of rewriting the administrative UI. We use KeyCloak, which you will hear a little bit later today. We use it for authentication. So all the user management is done by KeyCloak. I'll log in here with my super password again. All right, and that's basically how the new UI looks. So as the starting page, I have a dashboard, and it gives me a number of like active applications, right? It gives me an idea how many messages have been delivered through the system, and it shows me how many devices are registered with the server. The functionality for creating new applications is the same, but we just have a different look and feel. Another test. Right, and then you can drill down. Let me go into the existing one. I did set up an iOS implementation here for my testing. I do see there are actually devices registered. The overview of clients is a little bit different now. I do see here the device token. I can drill in and I see, hey, there was no category, but I still see the device token and the device type. I could disable someone, for instance, a guy that was leaving the company. So here's like, for instance, someone's username or password. I could then turn him off. Oops.
Some more fonts again?
Yeah. So yeah, I can.
Keep going.
Okay. So I could then turn on and turn off that specific device. So that's kind of an administrative feature that you can exclude folks from receiving no longer messages from you. The UI for sending a push message did also change a little bit. We have a nice widget here where you can select what application type you want, what kind of variants you want. And yeah, again, the dashboard is one of the nice features that we have in here. You now see I have 2 applications, still 6 messages, and still 1 device because I didn't do much there. I do also get some information about the most active ones. Well, only one of these guys does have a device registered with it, but it was already some messages. So now I also do see a history of the push messages that were sent to the server. So let me dive into one here. Sure. Oops, a little bit too large. Okay, yeah. So when I drill down into the details of a specific message has been sent, I also do see the IP address from which the message was issued against my server. And here is the message. And if I click on full request, I do even see the entire JSON that has been sent to the server, right? So you do see here, client identifier, I was using the console. If you would have been using the Java library, it would be AeroGear Unified Push Java Sender or something like that. So that's a nice way to also differentiate, oh, is that right? Did I really use the console or did I really use the Java library? So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, let me conclude with a little bit. It is really a nice way using push messages for the engaging moment, right? You can keep in touch with your users and also with your internal users like Salesforce or whatever. The server itself does you allow to reach out to specific groups using aliases like a specific user or a bunch of users or even category of groups, right? And we do provide the proper filtering on the UI. Backend integration always makes sense, like to automatic, like frequent pushes, like task has to be done in n minutes, or reacting on business logic, right, with a rules engine. And yeah, it's always important to really show nice UI when something has been updated. Like, you are really encouraged to react on a push message and give some UI love so that the user really sees, hey, there's something going on. I did actually see a new item here in my app because something happened somewhere else. So yeah, and basically keep interaction with your users because at the end of the day, they are holding your brand in the hand, and push message is a nice way to interact with them. You guys, any questions? Will be, yeah?
Yeah, what cloud providers do you support? Is it just Android and Apple?
Okay, so the question was what platforms is supported by the Unified Push Server today? Right now we do have support for native iOS, for native Android, and also for Cordova, as you have seen with Eric and Sebastian earlier. They showed on iOS, but we also have the Cordova part for Android. We do also support in the community project the Simple Push standard, which is the messaging protocol for Firefox OS. That is basically based on top of WebSocket, and we do have a Java library, so you could even stick that on your Raspberry Pi and do notification for Internet of Things. So you could reach out to those connected objects there as well. For future roadmap, we would like to do support for Windows Phone 8, maybe Amazon. We have that in our Jira track, but as of the moment, the main request was really about native iOS and native Android.
So a third party couldn't really plug in a new cloud provider for your platform?
Right, you could get on our repository, you could help out if you have like the need for Windows. Do you have specific Windows need or so?
No,
Yeah, yeah, you could definitely help and contribute. So that's a good point actually, thanks. You can find us again on aerogear.org. We have a Twitter account, .aerogears, and we also hang out on IRC. If you don't know IRC, it's like Twitter but less CSS. So you can find us there. And we do have the mailing list, right? So we can reach out on GitHub as well. Any more questions? All right. Thank you very much, guys.
Hold on, dude. So, let's see if we can get Bill Burke to come on in. I think we can ask him politely enough. We'll keep security, and then the rest of the guys are grabbing the pizza and the lunch and stuff. So after the next prezzo, we'll get some food and we'll get to hack. Make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. It'll be a little
Thank you.
time to go grab a drink and bathroom break and all that stuff.
So you're doing some mobile push already, or?
No, I'm just curious. I'm getting facts.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting. A lot of guys always ask, like, oh, do you support Windows? And we're like, yeah, not yet. You actually have requests? No.
Yeah. But I mean, you can see massive advantage to plug that into a
Even-
app.
even-
You know the other cloud providers are going to come online and they're going to want
Absolutely, absolutely. It's easy, and also the advantage is really, I'm from Europe, and it's always a concern in terms of like storing data somewhere on the cloud.
Yeah.
You can run that thing in your own data center, right? So that's also an advantage. And it's open source. If you store like, if you use like Urban Airship, for instance, for messages, you have no clue what they do.
Right.
You can look in our code what we do with the information that the user provides you, right? I mean, it's always a trust relationship between your users.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're interested in that stuff, please reach out to us. Twitter,
Start
IRC.
playing around with it first.
Awesome, yeah. In the afternoon, right?
Okay.
Good.
What is that? Is that VGA?
Hey, Bill.
What's going on?
Yeah. I just have that Apple thingy here. I think Josh, he did.
We've got a.
Oh, shit.
Josh, yeah.
Is
What
there
have
an
you got?
HDMI to,
Have you got?
I don't know,
Here's the
HDMI out? Yeah, but
HDMI or this guy right there?
you go.
right there.
Sebastian?
Okay.
We had this problem this morning.
All right.
Literally Hopefully it works.
It does. I used it on.
It works on his laptop.
Was it yours?
I got this beast though.
This is probably his, but that one belongs to the club.
Yeah, it's nice.
Oh.
So yeah, thanks again for the feature stuff that you did for us. It's working great. It's working great. We love
So
it.
everything's good?
Yeah, we love it. Bruno and I, we were talking about this week. We had a hangout with Stian, and we also said as well, it's great. You guys were really helpful. We fully appreciate that. Thanks again, Bill.
You guys
cool.
are helping us out too.
Yeah.
by
We will
putting
release
in-
our current 011 probably. I was on vacation the past 2 weeks. Something came up. So probably next week is the first release, or the week after is the first release that actually has KeyCloak in there. Beta 3 is the current one, I guess. Yeah, and then we will clean up our stuff, and then we will go on beta 1 for 1.0 and maybe beta 2 and beta 3, and then we will probably early August we will have our stuff, and
Yeah,
it's
we'll
cool.
we'll probably release early August too. We want to release this month, but too many vacations and stuff.
Yeah, same here.
I was just on vacation.
Yeah. So no, seriously, we are very happy, and thanks again.
Oh, good. Cool.
Yeah, it's
You
it's,
guys
it's
were
great.
a good guinea pig.
Yeah.
It made us solve a lot of stuff that we would have had to solve, so I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, and it was funny as when we were talking on the summit, and you actually did the prototype, and then yeah, you added a lot of features and you did a lot of changes to the server, right? You were like offline for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. Bruno and I we said a few times during the meeting, and also when we had our discussions like what we want, what we do right now, we gave you guys good visibility. It's awesome, really.
Oh, good.
Thanks.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks.
Here we go.
Hold on. I'm gonna get my 10
Might not
pound.
see you behind this.
I got my 10 pound.
Oh, dear.
Wow.
It's a gaming laptop.
I reckon
that
weighs
is a
more than my
power brick.
laptop.
Holy
Huh?
crap.
I reckon that weighs more than my laptop does.
Yeah.
You want it there?
No, I don't have a desktop, so.
Yeah, a gaming laptop would be the next best thing.
Yeah, I don't play games, so
Uh-oh.
I don't need it. Yeah. I need a little.
Oh, is that what that is? That's the power adapter?
Yep.
Holy. Wow. How old is this?
2 years old. It's got a RAID SSD. It's got 4-core i7.
That's pretty good.
It goes like it's overclocked, and so I'll have brilliant graphics. Oh, so it does pretty high resolution there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It does, although for the recording you may want to drop it down a little bit, just so everything looks okay on like the live stream and
Okay.
whatnot.
All right.
Which resolution are you telling people to use?
Good question. I'm not sure. Go for.
Oh my God, I don't remember how to do that in Windows.
Kind of like 1024 or 1280, something like that. By
For the server,
we're going widescreen, so pick a widescreen one that's about about 1200 by 720. So you check that that's.
that's decent.
Wait, hold on, let me start this up. Oh, it's gonna be hard to see, huh?
Yeah, that looks good.
Can we? Guess we can't get any darker there, huh?
No, this light is. Yeah.
Oh well.
you guys are filming this? Great.
Well, we're filming it, and then we're also splitting the computer display to the computer and to the projector. So the stuff that they'll see on like on the recording will actually be the same thing that you'll end up seeing. So it'll be dark.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you at the point where you're ready to like travel and promote KeyCloak?
Yeah, I'll let you check. Thanks.
Yeah, we're ready, but I don't want to travel.
All right.
I don't think we have a colleague.
Yeah,
I don't think he wants to travel.
I don't know why that's like that.
Yeah, we'll figure out something.
Fair enough. We're always looking for people out in Utah.
Oh, in Utah, yeah?
Yeah.
Are you the guy I talked to? Did you email me about the Utah? Was that you?
Jason Boyd.
Well,
So
we're
when we
Salt Lake.
yeah. See, what do we need? We need people in. No, we need someone in.
Provo, but
Okay.
that's pretty far away.
It's not too bad. 30-minute drive.
Oh, really? Is it?
Oh, only 20 miles away.
Okay.
So we're looking for people in September. If you want to go 2015, we can try January. You jump on the slopes.
So the bar's open for beer, wine, and soft drinks. Which, you know, nearing noon. Appropriate.
I'll get some ice.
Yeah, you get some ice for the beer, wine, and soft drinks. I think the beer helps with the like hackfest. That was great.
So you were here for the news piece too?
Where do I work at?
No, what do you work on?
Mostly been working on the JBoss.org stuff.
Okay.
So
So you're JBoss, you're a .org guy.
No, I'm not the Pulse. I'm with
Okay.
Pete.
With who?
Pete?
Oh, Pete. Oh,
Yeah.
oh with all the, what's that initiative called?
Golden Gate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't
It's on
gone
my
through that yet.
yet.
We're still on, all my projects I'm actively. It's better than nothing.
Yes, this is true.
It's better than we used to have.
Yeah. How was your flight? You were coming in
Oh.
All right, so let me turn off the. Oh. Anybody know?
Can I get you some performance drink?
No, I'm good. Definitely not. Help. You want me to fall asleep on stage? Where's screensaver in Windows? I was on Macs for so long.
That is not going to work. You got to shut all of these.
Oh, they are.
There you go. Well, that's not too bad. Okay, ready? Cheese. All right. Check 2 or 3 of them.
Anybody know where the screensaver setting is in Windows? Anybody know where the screensaver is in Windows? I tried display, it's not there.
Yeah, that's what I was just.
Son of a bitch.
You're talking to all the guys that are running Linux or Mac.
I had a Mac for like 6 years. Oh well. What? Yeah, that's why I went dark, didn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was. That's why I went dark, screensaver.
How often does it come up?
I don't know. I never set it up.
Okay. I think you can just smooth the mouse so it happens. Lights are distracting, aren't they? Needs to work on that.
Can't see anybody's face.
Yeah, that's what Joshua was saying as well. You can't like engage with the audience.
That might be a good thing. I don't know. Although they probably can see my nose hairs now.
Yeah, I think we need to do something about this. No, we can't do anything about it today, but we're kind of doing a bit of proof of concept today with this. You know, trying to make it really lightweight.
Oh, you might do it again here?
No, I meant when we do this type of event elsewhere.
Oh, okay.
You know, we're just kind of trying some new ideas out. You know.
What time am I supposed to start?
testing it on Java 8 because Thomas was doing it.
But they're talking language basics, language teaching.
Okay. I'm sure Thomas is working on the Firefly of Java SE 8. He's going to get language features, aren't he?
So just show like an EJB or a CI.
In this year, I guess, yeah. We really want to try the next cool thing. I think Thomas is Thomas Further. I don't know if that's his name. I think he got it working on we've got Wildflower working on Java. We've got some like I know, yeah. Stuff happens, doesn't it? You know what it's like. Yeah, it should just work. Stuff happens. APIs change, I guess. I don't know. I just noticed that he was doing it. I didn't fix the issue, so I just kind of clocked it. I don't know if you got it time. Yeah, exactly. The answer is yeah, so the ones use like this classes, don't they? You do that multiple syntax. Yeah, so I think that's yeah. Anyway, I think I know what you mean. But
Just a second, we'll give you kind of a cue whenever you're ready. Too tough?
Yeah. Just tell me when to start.
All right, so I don't know if you guys know our good friend Bill Burke, but he's been a JBoss old-timer and helped to launch the company and ended up being a personal mentor to me long back in the day. And either thank him or blame him for EJB3. But really ultra excited to have him with us. And now he's gone on to a security project called KeyCloak, which will be the focus of this talk. And then we'll have lunch in the hackfest for the rest of the afternoon. So everyone, please welcome Bill Burke.
Hey, everybody. So today I'm talking about a project called KeyCloak. Hopefully I don't mumble too much. I just took a red eye last night from the West Coast. I was on vacation, so I haven't looked at a line of code, read an email, opened my laptop until like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago. So let's see how it goes. So what I'm going to talk about today is KeyCloak. KeyCloak is a single sign-on solution, security solution for web apps and REST services. It was started by myself and Stian Thorgerson. From my end, I wanted to write authentication server that was OAuth-based that people in organizations can use. And Stian came from the other end. He wanted something like a social broker that would allow you to give you one API to hook up to and log in through any social provider like Google or LinkedIn or whatever. So what I'm going to talk about in this presentation is some basic things about security and how KeyCloak solves those things. So first I'll go over like basic security needs that you might want from an authentication server. Then I'll talk about single sign-on in a SOA environment where you have web apps and REST services all integrated and working together. I'll talk about how CORS fits in with browser apps and, that are JavaScript based. We'll talk about how those fit into the security landscape as well into KeyCloak. Then I'll talk about OAuth a little bit and show you how KeyCloak can handle OAuth grants and stuff like that. So the first thing I want to talk about is basic security. When you are integrating security with your web applications, there's a lot of things you need besides username and password. You might want to have a link on your login page that is allows you to reset your password if you've forgotten it. You might want to have a registration link on your page so you can register new users. You might want to be able to do social login. You might want to be able to do one-time password with Google Authenticator or something like that. Instead of just doing username and password, you might want two-factor security. And you also might need user account management as well. Like allow people to change their passwords, set up a Google Authenticator, manage their account, see what sessions they have logged in, all that sort of stuff that goes along with security. So one of the reasons why I want to start KeyCloak is that it seems like in the JBoss community, a lot of people write that stuff over and over and over again in their applications. They tend to, they might use an API like PickLink or something like that, but they're coding this stuff themselves. They're hand coding all these features themselves. So what we wanted to do with KeyCloak is, for basic security, we want to have a bunch of features out of the box that all you had to do was point and click in our admin console and be able to turn them on. So this is where KeyCloak comes in. I'm going to show you a little demo here. So for instance, let me log into the admin console here. And I have this basic customer portal app. It's just a Java EE application. And it's configured to be secured by KeyCloak. And when I click on this link here, I'm going to a secure URL on that web app, and it's asking me to log in. Right now, you sort of can see it, but right now you just can put in username and password, and you can log in. But if you wanted to, you could set it up to, you could add user registration. If I go to the admin console, I can click Save here, turn on user registration, and when I refresh this page here, I now have a can't really see it. I now have a register link. So if I click on that register link, I could create a new user and register. Let's say you wanted a little checkbox to say if the user if you wanted the browser to remember the user the next time they logged in, so they didn't have to put in their username and password. In the KeyCloak administration console, you can click the Remember Me switch here, save it, and this is a live system. When I go here now, I have a Remember Me checkbox here. So all this functionality comes right out of the box with KeyCloak. You just go to the administration console, and you can enable all this stuff, and you get it right out of the box. I can turn on Forget Password, click Save here, and now I have Forgot Password link as well. If I want to have social login, I go to the login console, enable social login, hit save here. I go to the social screen. I have to configure each provider. I'll configure Facebook with a dummy key here. When I click save, I go back to the login screen. I can now log in through Facebook through the credentials I set up with Facebook as a authentication provider. What else was I going to say here? So there's a lot of basic things you can do right out of the box with KeyCloak. Right through the administration console, you can enable and disable security features at runtime while your application is running. So the idea with KeyCloak is it's out of the box solution, and it provides all the login screens for you, OAuth grant pages, resetting passwords, setting up Google Authenticator. All that stuff comes out of the box for you. You can even change the look and feel of KeyCloak. Right now we have this really basic blue screen. Well, you can't really tell it's blue, but I can change the actual look and feel of it by creating a KeyCloak theme. Hopefully you can see this if I save this. Probably can't see it. Yeah, you can't really see the changes here, but anyway, we have a template engine that allows you to easily change. You can change the icon here. You can change the look and feel. You can change where anything is painted on the screen, but through a simple template engine.
We got monitors here, and we can see them up here much more clearly on the.
Okay, great. Okay, that's good. Excellent. So KeyCloak out of the box has a lot of basic features for basic security needs, and it has a template engine so you can change the look and feel of any KeyCloak web page you want. Even the admin console here, I can change the look and feel of it. And if you sat through Matea's presentation on AeroGear, KeyCloak is being used as their authentication engine underneath, and they're going to be even branding the admin console for KeyCloak and to make it look and feel like part of the AeroGear product. So with KeyCloak, we put a lot of work into not only being an authentication server, but something that can be embedded in other products and make it look like part of your product if you wanted to embed KeyCloak as a authentication mechanism. Okay.
Do you do that by providing widgets that, you know, that you can
It is, I don't know if you ever heard of FreeMarker. Yep. We use FreeMarker to paint all the screens. So what you can do is it's kind of like file inheritance. So if you create a file, a login.ftl file, it overrides the other one. And you can like override a property that's set for maybe the icon or whatever, but it basically FreeMarker templates. Okay, so KeyCloak out of the box provides basic security needs. Another thing that you'll need besides logging in and that sort of thing is single sign-on, and KeyCloak supports that as well. Basically, the idea of single sign-on is you have a bunch of web apps. If you log into the authentication server once, every web app you visit, you don't have to re-enter your credentials, and KeyCloak supports that sort of thing. So if I go to my application here. So now I logged into my customer portal. I get a customer listing from the web app through that secure page there. I also have a link to a products web app. If I click on that, I don't have to re-log in. It's single sign-on. KeyCloak also supports single sign-off as well. So if you log out of one application here, you're logged out of everything. KeyCloak also will tell you, has session management as well. So through the admin console, I gotta relog in here. Admin, session timed out. If I click on this here, you can see which applications are running and how many active user sessions they have. I can drill down to that, and I can show what users are logged in to a particular application. For my customer portal app, I can see that Bill Burke is logged in from what IP address and when it started. You can see it from a user point of view as well. So if I can see what sessions Bill is running currently. Bill logged in from this IP address on this date, and these are the applications that he has visited in this single sign-on session. And I can log out that user as well from the administration console. So KeyCloak not only has single sign-on, single sign-off, but also session management as well. It works with, right now we only work with Java EE applications, and we also support pure JavaScript applications as well. We're looking to write adapters for more things as well. The way we do single sign-on right now is through OAuth 2 specifications, specifically the implementation of OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect is a sort of a REST-based protocol. It's fairly new. It's based on OAuth 2 and also JSON Web Tokens. It's a browser redirection protocol. So if you actually looked at the HTTP requests when I did a login before, you would see a lot of redirects going back and forth from the authentication server and the actual application. What did I talk about here? Oh, single sign-on and SOA. So what I showed you so far is single sign-on with browsers. KeyCloak also supports single sign-on with REST services in a cloud. So your browser might be visiting a web application, but in the background, that web application might be calling other REST services as well in the background. And we support single sign-on in that sort of scenario as well. And the way it works is KeyCloak, when you first log in, when you visit a web app and you first log in, you get a token created for you. This token is JSON Web Token based. It's digitally signed, and when it's a digitally signed web token, and this token contains a bunch of information in it. It contains identity information about the user, like what's their user ID, what's their username. Depending on how you configure your realm, this token might have other claim information like address, phone number, website. Really, whatever you want to include into the token, you can configure through the KeyCloak administration console. This token also can have role mappings as well. So this token is a self-contained, digitally signed unit, and you can pass it around between web services. Those web services can verify the signed token, extract the user information, extract the role mappings from the token without having to go to the central server. So all these web services and web apps need is the public key of the realm, and then they can take this token and verify the token and extract whatever security metadata that they need from it. So it looks a little bit like this. You log into the web app through the authentication server. You get a token back, and then this web app makes REST calls to REST services, and within an authorization header, it stuffs this token in the authorization header, and these REST services pull out the token from the authorization header, verify the signature, pull out the role mappings, pull out the user information, and they have an authenticated, authorized user for those REST services. Any questions on that part? No? Okay. Yeah, I'll try to be quick, because I know you guys are hungry for lunch. But anyway, so we have basic security stuff in KeyCloak. We have single sign-on, single sign-off, user session management. We also have some special support for CORS. CORS is cross-origin resource sharing, and where that comes into play, this is a browser-based protocol for JavaScript applications. Usually when you have a JavaScript application and that JavaScript application tries to make an HTTP request to a domain other than the domain it was served from, what the browser will do will go through the CORS protocol. The CORS protocol ensures that the domain you're trying to communicate to actually allows the browser to make cross-domain requests. So CORS browser can only invoke on originating domain. CORS allows JavaScript to invoke cross-domain. It's a protocol, browser-based protocol, and requires server-side support at each of these endpoints. So what KeyCloak does is it provides, for our adapters, we provide CORS support out of the box. You can configure in the administration console essentially what domains are allowed to, how do I describe this? Okay, so what you can do in the KeyCloak administration console is on an application you can specify which web origins are allowed to invoke on that particular service. So you have a central way to manage web origins. And the way KeyCloak does that is when the authentication server creates the web token that gets passed around, the allowed origins are actually stuffed inside the token as well, so that when you get this token back in your JavaScript app and you make a secured invocation to a different domain, that domain is going to look inside the token and see what are the valid web origins to validate that that browser is allowed to make that cross-origin request from that particular domain.
Bill, do you create the origins inside KeyCloak? And that seems somewhat analogous to firewall rules or something like that?
Let me show you. I'll bring up the admin console here. So go to the admin console here. Go to the customer portal. You can specify here, I don't know if you can read it, it says web origins. You can specify what web origins are allowed to access this particular application, essentially from the administration console. And these web origins are stuffed in the access token, the signed access token. And when you make a REST request from your browser in JavaScript to that domain, that token will contain that web origin information. And the REST service, the web application will verify the token and look to see if it's a valid web origin based on the CORS protocol. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay.
Does CORS require the browser to support that to allow
Yes.
the cross-domain?
I think browsers have supported it since like 2009. Can anybody like verify that date?
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's like it's been around for 4 or 5 years. So
Supports 5, HTML5.
yeah, yeah, I think even earlier too. It's been around for a while, like 4 or 5 years. So you're gonna have even if you're not using KeyCloak, you're gonna have to deal with CORS anyway. If you have a pure JavaScript app that that's making like HTTP calls to a bunch of different domains. A lot of people are doing that sort of thing. So all right. So that's the support we've added for CORS and KeyCloak. So we have adapters for Wildfly. If you're writing a web application for Wildfly, for JBoss AS7.1, or for EAP 6.x. And those adapters bring in this CORS support and allow you to make CORS requests. Eventually, we're planning on, after our 1.0 release, we're going to be writing adapters for Jetty, Tomcat, hopefully for Vertex, for, we'll hope, what's that called, the JavaScript? Node, thank you. Sorry, I'm falling asleep. For Node, we're going to write support for Node, hopefully for, if I can get some Ruby guy to help me out, we'll do something for Ruby as well, and Rails. But with KeyCloak, we don't want to just be Java EE. We want to expand to other areas as well. We want to support Node users. We want to support Ruby users, and so on and so on, Python users. But, okay, so basic security, single sign-on, single sign-off, user session management, core support. We also support something called OAuth grants. OAuth grants are like you're granting temporary access to a third party to access a resource. So basically, I don't know if you ever interacted with this sort of thing. Maybe you have to, like, when you want to submit something on a form, it asks you for a social login, and then you log in through Google. Then Google throws up this page saying, "Is it okay if this particular website accesses your email, your address, your friends, that sort of thing?" And you say yes or no to that. That's an OAuth grant. And KeyCloak supports that as well. So you can define custom OAuth grants so that when a third-party website wants to get access to one of your users' resources, KeyCloak will ask the user to log in and also ask them to, if they allow that particular third party to access certain permissions. It's better to see it in action. Let's actually see a demo of that. What was it? Oh my God. Okay, so this is an example of a third-party app that's going to pull data using OAuth. So when I click this button here, I'm going to be brought to the login page, and I'm going to log in as the user. So this is just a regular user login, but this is an damn mouse. Come on, there we go. So I logged in, I successfully logged in, but now, I don't know if you can read it, but KeyCloak is saying that the third-party application requests access to user privileges. So basically, the third-party app that I just visited is configured to ask for user privileges from the user. So as a user, I can either accept or deny that particular third party from from being granted user privileges. I'll accept it, and this third-party app now has a token that I can use to make a request to get stuff like product data and customer data. So OAuth grants are an extra page that asks the user, does this third party allowed to have these particular permissions? Do you grant permissions to this particular third party? So that's what OAuth was originally designed for. But now with OpenID Connect, it can also be used for single sign-on and that sort of stuff. So we use it for both. Okay, OAuth grants, blah, blah, blah. Hacker attacks. This is an area that's still under development in KeyCloak, but there's a lot of attacks out there, but there's really two different things that you need to worry about. One is brute force password attacks. You might have a server out there trying to guess the password of your users by doing a lot of requests guessing the passwords. Another problem they might have with an attack is you might have a server get hacked and you might get your access tokens stolen. So how does KeyCloak handle that sort of thing? This is under development right now, but KeyCloak can be configured to detect brute force attacks. And what it will do right now is if it gets to a certain threshold of failed logins for a particular user in a certain time window, it'll disable that user for a number of seconds. And each failure after that will extend that timeline. So at first it might be 30 seconds, then it can go up to a few hours that the user can be disabled. That's all we got right now. We don't have a way to warn the admin yet. We want brute force attacks to be based on IP address as well, like fail to ban does. So we actually want to implement what fail to ban does inside KeyCloak, if you're familiar with fail to ban. We haven't implemented yet, but probably in KeyCloak 1.1 we want to have IP blacklists as well, so you can say, hey, not only an IP address, but we want to get a geographic IP mapping. So you can say, hey, people from these rogue countries, we don't want to be able to log in through KeyCloak. So we're planning on adding that feature too. That's what we're doing for brute force attacks.
What about the user? I mean, if somebody's trying to hack their account, don't you want to send them an email saying somebody's,
Yeah, that's another thing we want to have too, like I got, my Gmail account got hacked a couple years ago. That's one of the reasons I got interested in security, because my World of Warcraft account got hacked through my Gmail account. And I never knew how they got, I would have never known how I got hacked until I logged into Google and it had this nice message come up saying, somebody from China tried to log into your website. I was like, that's how they broke in. And I want to be able to do that too. When a user logs in, I want to be able to say, hey, somebody's hacked your account, or somebody from China tried to log into your account. Maybe you want to change your password, that sort of thing. So those are things we have on the roadmap that we want to add. It's just a lot of work trying to get this stuff together. Another thing we support is we have a lot of not before policies. Basically, if somebody, our access token have a very limited lifespan, depending on how you can configure it, but by default, it's only like a couple minutes. So after a couple minutes, these tokens will actually have to be refreshed through a refresh token back to the server. And what we can do is you can set up global not before policies and the administration console. You can say any tokens, any logins before this particular date are no longer valid. And it'll spread out the information to the authentication, to the other applications that are secured by KeyCloak, and those applications will not allow token access or login access or user sessions before that particular date. So those are some of the hacker prevention things that we're doing and hacker management things we're doing. Okay, so we're about at the end of the presentation. Some other KeyCloak features, you saw the theme support we have. We support both administration, really any user, any UI page that KeyCloak presents to you can be changed. Anything, administration console, anything. Our last release a few weeks ago, we have LDAP Active Directory support. So if you want to federate user login through an LDAP server, you can hook up KeyCloak to do that as well. What we're working right now on KeyCloak is we're trying to get a 1.0 release out. So right now we're working on performance. We're trying to make sure that we can run in a cluster, that we can scale in a cluster. So we're implementing a lot of caching techniques and that sort of stuff. We're going to go through a security audit before we do a 1.0 release. We're going to try to get, Red Hat has a security team that does audits like that. We're going to get them involved to make sure that we've covered all the OAuth attack vectors. And then finally, we hope to release probably beginning of August or so, our 1.0 release. After that, our 1.1 release, we're going to focus on adapters. We're going to focus on integration. We're going to implement a Jira plugin so that you can, KeyCloak can secure Jira. Because one of the things we want to do is, you know, sso.jboss.org, when you actually log into our forums, or you want to, you know, submit a bug or something you actually have to log in through our single sign-on system. We actually want to replace jboss.org's single sign-on system with KeyCloak. I don't know if they know that yet, but, but they'll probably say, no, you can't do that. But anyway, as I said before, we want to write a bunch of additional adapters for Jetty, Tomcat, Node.js, Vertex. We're going to bring in PicketLink's SAML broker. Their PicketLink IDP's SAML engine we're going to bring into KeyCloak. So we're going to have SAML support as well. And any other features that the community desperately needs, we're going to be doing as well. So that's what's going on. These dates are a little off. We were going to release in June, but because of vacations and conferences and that sort of stuff, probably not going to release till the beginning of August. KeyCloak 1.1 will probably be like in November, December timeframe. Okay, that's about it. That's what's going on in KeyCloak, and hopefully you have some application that might be able to use it. So that's it. Thanks, guys. Anybody have any more questions or anything? No?
How does KeyCloak compare to other SSO?
I don't know. I've been too busy coding it. So again, we're trying to. What's that one that Apache has? Yeah. That's sort of like out of the PicketLink IDP domain where like you might have to try to code things yourself. KeyCloak is focused on being an out-of-box solution. That's where we might be different than some other open source authentication projects. So we're focused on being an out-of-box solution where you don't have to code anything. All you have to do is configure it. Maybe a couple lines in when you a configuration file for your web apps, and everything's done through the administration console. That's what we're hoping. So far, we've met that vision.
So what's your plan around OpenShift and like cartridges? Have you got a plan to install it as a cartridge?
We have a cartridge.
What's that mean to the developer?
It means that if they want to secure internet-based apps, they can deploy KeyCloak as a cartridge, and they have a KeyCloak server that they can use to configure their apps. So bang, I think it's a Quickstart. So you just got to deploy it through a Quickstart, and bam, you got it.
So basically, they just need to create an OpenShift account, then go through the Quickstart that will basically create a cartridge. So
Yep.
they need to create the cartridge themselves today, or is it already does OpenShift have the option of kind of starting up a KeyCloak cartridge?
Yeah, not yet. Not right now. It's just a quick start.
Okay.
Yeah, that's on the roadmap as well. You want to be able to do that sort of thing. Maybe even get on CloudBees and those sort of guys too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends what we have time for.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we have a couple guys in the community creating Docker. Is it Docker?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're creating Docker images so that we can maybe that will help propagate us to the cloud too. I don't know. I don't know much about Docker, but it looks kind of cool. Any other questions? Anybody? Nope. Let's eat. I hope so. I've talked to, I don't know, is there different Fuse things? Fuse FSW, that's the, I've been talking to them. I think they're using Pick-a-Link right now. And I talked to one of the guys, and they're like, we like what you're doing. We don't want to roll our own. Yeah, they don't want to roll their own security anymore. So, yeah, we're looking into them to use it. SSO.JBoss.org, Wildfly. We're looking to be the single sign-on solution for them as well. So eliminates a lot of headache. Yeah, like I wouldn't want to have it like that. I've never been at a project at Red Hat where I had all these different groups contacting me like, we want to use this. I was totally surprised. I didn't realize that. Yeah, I know. You're crazy. So like, we have all these different projects that are really interested in using this. So like, I think when we get out there, once we get out there, like in 6 months or so, like, it's gonna be battle tested by our own stuff. So. I hope so. It's a very political battle, but it's starting to look that way. We'll see how it goes. I think they were waiting to see how it turned out, and I think people are pretty happy with it. So, you're welcome.